Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles. Chapter 1348. Qin Wentian suddenly spoke. He wasn't acquainted with this old man and he didn't know the other people who entered the Forbidden Ground. Everyone chose to enter the Forbidden Ground on their own and they should be responsible for their own choices. There was no need for him to say anything, but right now, only the two of them were left alive. He still felt somewhat sorrowful and hoped that this old man would be able to live on. Hence, he couldn't help but to persuade him. Seems like elder brother Qin, you don't understand much about the Hokage Sengoku kingdom. Who in the Immortal dynasty doesn't know of Princess Yu Huang? Hence, Pei Qing has been announcing to the outside world that he wants to woo Princess Kitamura and marry her. The two of them chatted casually as they advanced, as though they were trying to ease the tension in their hearts. After all, so many people had entered the Forbidden Ground and now, only the two of them were still alive. In addition, Pei Qing also said earlier that there was no clear path, only death. Before this, I was stared at by the zombies and couldn't even release a trace of my aura. But in truth, if it wasn't for that situation, as long as I had some time, I might have a chance to escape. Hence, even if we meet with danger later on, I might still have a chance to survive. However, because of the oath made by my sect, I can't bring old Sir along. Hence, old Sir doesn't have to make the same choice as me. Just like what old Sir said before, you can cultivate here and maybe break through to the Immortal King realm before you meet with danger. I'm already very fortunate to be able to reach this point. I don't have too much hope. It's been so many years since I took that final step. If I die here, it's also my fate. However, before we enter, can I ask you who you are exactly? Why would Princess Nonyue and the Saint Child of the 100 Refinements sect hold you in such high regard? I've always been curious. Qin Wentian walked up and stared at the wordless stone tablets that exuded an ancient aura. Qin Wentian changed his direction once more. As he continued forward, he saw too many strange phenomena. He saw many terrifying divine weapons that weren't something he could touch. He also saw many zombies, and all of them had their own sentiments and attachments. With a smile, he didn't say anything and continued walking forward. Qin Wentian walked forward step by step, moving towards the baleful aura. When the baleful aura grew stronger and stronger, the terrifying law energy seemed to be able to tear everything apart. His footsteps slowed as he stared ahead. There were still dark clouds, but within the dark clouds, a supreme cold light could be seen, illuminating this entire patch of dark clouds. Shall we go in? The old man asked, looking at Qin Wentian. Some of the stone steels had already shattered, turning into rubble that scattered everywhere. There were also some stone steels that were split down the middle, and deep pits could be seen at the bottom of the steels. Old Mister. Qin Wentian called out again. The old man halted and turned his head to look at Qin Wentian. Changing his direction, Qin Wentian left this place and continued to walk through the dark clouds. He could sense the boundless destructive qi, and he quietly sensed it as he walked towards the source. After that, he saw a zombie sitting on the ground, hugging onto a white robe. This robe seemed to belong to a female. Although this zombie had been dead for countless years, it was still filled with attachment to the owner of this robe. There's someone there. All of a sudden, Qin Wentian saw a human silhouette beside the broken saber. It was a zombie, and his head was severed in half. Qin Wentian drew in a breath of cold air and instantly retracted his aura. That silhouette stared in his direction, as though it had eyes and knew of his existence. However, it didn't move, it merely circled around the saber, exuding a deep sense of attachment. Naturally, I don't even know how long the Hokage Sengoku kingdom has existed. The #1 expert in history, how can he not be strong? Also, the #1 expert in history is at the Immortal Emperor realm. There's no one in the past, but I don't dare to say that there won't be someone like him in the future. Everyone in the Hokage Sengoku kingdom knows that there's a person who has the chance to surpass him, but I don't know if that person would be able to do so or not. The old man spoke. Why do I feel that this immortal law mountain is like an ancient battlefield? Regardless of the palm imprint or the stone monument, there seemed to be an incomparably great battle that flattened everything. The city was reduced to ashes, leaving only the uneven ground. But as time passed, this place became a desolate mountain range. Qin Wentian mumbled. Old sir. Qin Wentian called out. No one replied. Many geniuses with unparalleled talent died midway or met with a bottleneck. But Pei Qing had already reached the immortal emperor realm. No one dared to doubt him anymore. Everyone in the world knew of him. The aura of destruction emanated from her robes. It was unknown how many terrifying destructive attacks she had endured when she was alive. Baiming no Mue. Qin Wentian felt somewhat bewildered. So, I choose to enter. Old sir, you should choose according to your heart as well. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. He wouldn't try to persuade others to enter with him. This was his choice, not the choice of others. Everyone should have their own choices and they need to be responsible for their own choices. He is the owner of the saber. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. He was already a dead man, how could he still be alive? The aura of slaughter, the aura of destruction, the aura of death. However, amidst this aura of despair, he actually sensed a trace of life. It was like he had been saved from death's door. Brother Qin, take care of yourself. Live well. From the dark clouds, a voice rang out. It was the voice of the old man. He had left, he wanted to barge in alone. Qin Wentian nodded lightly. Our purpose in entering the forbidden ground is to search for an opportunity. But after we entered, our purpose is to survive. How sad. I don't know. In any case, there's something strange about this place. Qin Wentian continued walking forward. That Pei Qing is an immortal emperor. Even an immortal emperor came here to explore. From this, one can see that there's definitely a shocking secret in this mountain range. If not, like what you said, as the person who broke through to the immortal emperor realm the fastest in the history of the Hokage Sengoku kingdom, there's no need for him to come here. My name is Qin Wentian, I come from an emperor-ranked power in the eastern regions. Baiming no Mue and Li Yufeng treated me as a good friend because back then when the Tiandao Sacred Academy opened, we got to know each other. At that time, Li Yufeng ascended to the Supreme Might rankings and was replaced by me. Maybe, he started to pay attention to me at that moment. In the Sacred Academy, I caused quite a commotion and fought against the juniors of several major powers, causing waves of commotion. This is what happened, there's nothing special about it. The eyes of the old man flashed. He turned his head back and stared at Qin Wentian in bewilderment. As expected of someone from a major power, he actually still had life-saving methods in this forbidden ground. That's true. Qin Wentian nodded. This was the number one character in history. As long as there was no hatred between them, they would naturally be on good terms with him. The danger is unpredictable. Who knows when those zombies would suddenly appear? It's also very dangerous to stay here. Qin Wentian shook his head. He didn't like to passively wait. He chose to continue forward. Although there were many dangers, as long as there's the slightest chance, he would continue forward. In addition, he still had a trump card. Princess Kitamura is so powerful. Qin Wentian was somewhat surprised. This place seems to be safer. Actually, Brother Qin, we still have another path. Let's stay here. The old man spoke. Your Highness. What a powerful baleful aura. At this moment, the eyes of the two of them flashed. They continued forward, arriving at the edge of the mountain and stared at the gigantic canyon ahead. Over there, a layer of dark clouds could be seen. Despite the passage of countless years, the dark clouds still didn't dissipate. It was like there were dead souls from an ancient battlefield here. The baleful aura originated from there. Qin Wentian mused that if it was really like what he had guessed, this place must be an ancient battlefield. How many experts were buried here? This number was simply too terrifying. Qin Wentian couldn't help but sigh in his heart. You call this nothing special? The old man was speechless. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. After that, he continued forward. Naturally not. Princess Nomyue is only at the Immortal Foundation realm, how would I be able to tell? Also, Princess Nomyue's chances are very slim. It's her elder sister, Princess Kitamura. She's known as the #1 beauty of our Hokage Sengoku kingdom, a supreme empress. It's rumored that in the future, the throne of the Hokage Sengoku kingdom wouldn't be passed down to the emperor's son but to Princess Kitamura instead. There are so many sons and daughters of the emperor, but none of them can be compared to her. Pei Qing has always been incomparably arrogant. If it wasn't for the fact that this place is extraordinary, he wouldn't have come here. The old man nodded. Although he wasn't acquainted with Pei Qing, he had heard too many rumors about him in the Hokage Sengoku kingdom. Pei Qing was a legendary character, a true supreme genius. That was a saber, a broken saber. Only half of the saber remained. But even though it was only half a saber, it still shone with a resplendent light. Qin Wentian sighed. After that, he walked forward as well. He finally sensed the aura of law energy, an extremely powerful one. Also, this time around, it wasn't just a single law, but an incomparably chaotic law energy. It's precisely because he is too arrogant, he can't tolerate others offending him. That sentence earlier, if it was an ordinary immortal king, he would most probably help and get acquainted with Princess Nomyue. But he is Pei Qing, hence, he felt that those words had offended his pride. Indeed, he doesn't need to care about Princess Nomyue's feelings. After all, as the #1 character in history, he would at the very least become a peak-stage immortal emperor in the future and even has the chance to break through to that level. This Pei Qing is truly arrogant. But since he wants to marry Princess Kitamura, why did he kill Baiming Nomyue just because of that sentence? Qin Wentian tried walking away. As expected, that living corpse didn't care about him. It was like even after he died, that living corpse still had an undying longing for the saber. If this is really a battlefield, and this place is really the tombstone of ancient times, what are these pits for? Could it be those living corpses? The countenance of the old man changed. If it was those living corpses, things would truly be too terrifying. Burying the dead here and they could actually revive? What place was this exactly? Who is it? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Qin Wentian sighed. He stepped out, entering the canyon that was shrouded in dark clouds. Very swiftly, he discovered that the old man in front of him could no longer be seen. Is Pei Qing really so powerful? Qin Wentian curiously asked, feeling somewhat unhappy with Pei Qing. Although he knew that as an immortal emperor, no one would dare to say anything if Pei Qing trampled an Immortal Foundation expert to death, he was still very unhappy despite the fact that there was still an insurmountable disparity between him and Pei Qing. Yeah, you don't have any real experience and always feel that you're lucky. Now that you've entered this place, you've already forgotten why you came here. The old man laughed. Chapter 1349. The area enveloped by the dark clouds was much larger compared to any of the mountain ranges Qin Wentian had been to before. Qin Wentian would occasionally stop and occasionally sit down to comprehend. Just like this, 3 years passed and he still hadn't walked out of this space. However, he grew more and more sensitive to the laws of heaven and earth. During these 3 years, he saw many different sceneries. He had no way to imagine how vast this ancient battlefield was. If there really was a great battle here, the number of experts who participated in that battle definitely wasn't something he could imagine. At this moment, Qin Wentian sat before a gigantic tree. This gigantic tree was so tall that its roots reached the heavens. Even if 1,000 people tried to wrap their arms around it, they might not be able to wrap their arms around it. This ancient tree exuded a terrifying law aura of destruction, forming a terrifying law domain around it. Naturally, Qin Wentian suspected that this ancient tree itself was formed from laws. If he was to use Wuxia's cultivation base to classify it, this ancient tree would be a body of laws. Qin Wentian sat there in cultivation, quietly sensing the flow of the laws of destruction, wanting to comprehend the language of the laws of destruction. After several months, he could already use the law energy of destruction in his body. Even if he didn't use his immortal foundation, he could still create the law energy of destruction around him. This wasn't a small improvement, and he knew that he was getting closer and closer to the realm he wanted to reach. Qin Wentian closed his eyes. In his perception, in the formless space around him, black-colored destructive runes flowed uncontrollably. To him now, it was still very difficult for him to fully control them. If he could do that, he would be infinitely closer to the Immortal King realm. After a long time, Qin Wentian stood up and walked towards the gigantic tree. The closer he got, the stronger the destructive energy. Luckily, this gigantic tree wouldn't take the initiative to attack him, or he would definitely be a peak-stage Immortal King. After walking to the front of the tree, Qin Wentian already felt that his body couldn't endure it any longer. If it wasn't for the fact that he also cultivated this energy, he wouldn't have dared to get so close. Taking out a divine weapon, Qin Wentian stabbed it into the ancient tree. The sharpness of the divine weapon was incomparably sharp, but the law energy of destruction instantly corroded it. Qin Wentian immediately let go, causing the divine weapon to fall to the ground. The destructive qi flowed around it. Qin Wentian didn't dare to take it anymore. He lifted his foot and turned to leave. Several months later, Qin Wentian came to a valley filled with dark clouds. This place was incomparably heavy, containing the law energy of gravity. Every step Qin Wentian took caused him to feel a sense of terror. It was extremely difficult for him to even lift his feet as he advanced step by step. His entire body was bent from the pressure. Finally, he saw the origin of the law energy of gravity. It was a gigantic boulder on the mountain. The shape of this boulder was extremely irregular, but it was extremely lustrous. There was actually a law light flowing around the surface of it. The heavens and earth are truly wondrous, able to create all sorts of miraculous sights. Could it be that the reason why life is born in this world, is it because there is a type of law energy in this world? Qin Wentian suddenly had a thought as he mumbled. He sat on the ground and endured the terrifying gravity, quietly comprehending the law energy in the flow of it. After a long time, he continued on his journey. On the way, he saw all sorts of miraculous sights, broadening his horizons. Qin Wentian had already completely lost his sense of direction. He also didn't know where he was now. Luckily, he didn't encounter any dangers. It's just that ordinary people would find it hard to exit this place. However, he still had a trump card. If there was no other way, he could only use the heavenly talisman realm to open a spatial tunnel to leave. Another few years passed. Qin Wentian has been in the dark North Immortal Mountain for a very long time. Right now, his face was filled with the vicissitudes of life. This space seemed to have no end, there was no way for him to exit it forever. However, Qin Wentian still chose to cultivate here. There was no other place more suitable for him to cultivate. This was a forbidden ground, a sacred ground for cultivation. Once he breaks through to the Immortal King realm, he would open a spatial tunnel to leave this place. What a powerful suppressive aura. At this moment, Qin Wentian sensed an extremely tyrannical aura. He walked in that direction, and after a long time, his steps halted as he stared at the sky in a daze. Qin Wentian was speechless. In front of him, there were two gigantic stone monuments that radiated a boundless divine glow. Up in the sky, resplendent beams of light cascaded downwards, landing on the stone monuments. These beams of light were akin to the radiance of the constellations, illuminating the entire space, dispersing the clouds and revealing the sun. Don't tell me that this is astral resonance, directly borrowing the light from the 9 heavenly layers. Qin Wentian felt incomparably shocked. This was the means of an immortal emperor. Right now, such a terrifying scene appeared on the 2 stone monuments. How could one not sigh in admiration? Rumble. Abruptly, Qin Wentian discovered that he couldn't move at all. A supreme suppressive light bore down on him, causing his blood, flesh, tendons and bones to feel immense pressure. With a groan of misery, he coughed out fresh blood and directly slumped to the ground as his countenance turned pale. Only to see one of the stone tablets moving. That's right, under Qin Wentian's shocked gaze, that gigantic stone tablet flew towards Qin Wentian as a pressure that could collapse the heavens gushed forth. However, it didn't land on Qin Wentian's body. He only felt a sense of terror. If not, he would have already died. Qin Wentian's body gushed forth with suppressive might, but it was like an ant trying to shake a tree. When he saw the stone monument flying towards him, he only felt despair. He didn't expect that he wouldn't die in the hands of the zombies but would die in the hands of a stone monument instead. But at this moment, the stone monument suddenly halted. The gigantic monument actually shrunk to the size of a human and floated above Qin Wentian's head, stopping just like that. Qin Wentian stared at this scene in astonishment. Could this stone monument have gained sentience? Could it be that it had intelligence? With a flash, Qin Wentian stood up and fled. However, the stone monument followed right behind him and instantly caught up. Before Qin Wentian could take 2 steps, he was directly suppressed to the ground, causing him to cough out another mouthful of blood. However, the stone tablet was still merciful and did not kill him. Otherwise, with how terrifying the stone tablet was, it could have destroyed him with a single attack and killed him right away. Junior unintentionally intruded into this place. If Senior Spirit is here, please show mercy. Qin Wentian spoke. After that, he stood up and continued to flee. The light from the stone monument flowed and Qin Wentian only managed to take 2 steps before he was suppressed to the ground, unable to get up. Qin Wentian didn't give up. He repeated the same thing over 10 times and the bones in his body felt like they were about to break. He only felt incomparably depressed. This stone monument was clearly toying with him. This time around, Qin Wentian who was lying on the ground formed a series of hand seals. A moment later, a spatial fluctuation gushed forth as the heavens and earth changed color. The stone monument trembled slightly as though it was looking at him. I mustn't open a spatial tunnel in front of others. This stone monument might have a spirit but it can't be considered a human. Qin Wentian recalled the rules of the heavenly talisman realm as he mused in his heart. Bzz. A terrifying pressure bore down on the spatial tunnel. However, the spatial tunnel still appeared there, it didn't collapse from the pressure. Qin Wentian dashed forward. This stone monument was too intelligent, he hoped that it wouldn't kill him directly. He could only go all out. Abruptly, Qin Wentian brandished the demon sword as he flew towards the stone monument. His body flew towards the spatial passageway and just when he was about to step into it, a terrifying pressure bore down on him as the spatial passageway was actually forcefully closed. This. Qin Wentian's countenance turned as pale as paper. The stone monument blasted the demon sword away and once again unleashed its might. Qin Wentian coughed out fresh blood. Qin Wentian was on the verge of collapse. Would this forbidden ground be his burial ground? Rumble. An overwhelming pressure bore down on Qin Wentian, he was directly forced to the ground. Was this a dead end? He was filled with reluctance. However at this moment, the pressure suddenly vanished without a trace. Qin Wentian was bewildered. He inclined his head and his heart trembled. In front of him, a silhouette appeared. The long hair of this silhouette had already reached the ground, resembling a ghost. A living corpse. Qin Wentian's eyes flickered. After which, he saw the silhouette turning around. The silhouette's face was also covered by the long hair, but a pair of pitch-black eyes could be seen, gleaming with a faint sharpness. A living corpse. Qin Wentian's heart trembled as he called out, "Senior! Return!" That silhouette glanced at the stone monument. Momentarily, the stone monument flew over as a terrifying energy enveloped Qin Wentian. After which, his body was restrained and he couldn't move at all. He floated in the air, following behind the silhouette, his body completely out of his control. Is this person a human or a ghost? If he's a stellar martial cultivator, how strong is he? Qin Wentian simply had no way to imagine. That stone monument was already extremely terrifying, it was actually able to absorb the astral radiance of the constellations. Yet, this person was able to repel it with a single sentence. Also, this person seemed to have been living in this secret realm for a very long time. How many years had he lived for? Qin Wentian floated there, staring at the sky as intense waves rose in his heart. He walked past the two stone monuments only to see that the stone monument that chased after him earlier transformed back into a gigantic one, absorbing the astral radiance from the 9 heavenly layers. Bzz. Qin Wentian only felt his body being flung through the air. After which, he landed on the ground. That pressure vanished. He stood up and stared at the mysterious figure before him. However, the mysterious figure wasn't looking at him, but was staring ahead instead. Qin Wentian also stared ahead. After which, his gaze froze. A majestic city had transformed into ruins. Numerous palaces could be seen there, but all of them were in ruins. I'll give you a year's time to cultivate here. If you can't break through to the Immortal King realm, you shall die. That mysterious figure spoke before vanishing from sight. Qin Wentian was astonished. Breaking through to the Immortal King realm in a year's time. What did this mysterious figure mean by that? Who was he exactly? What secrets were hidden in this forbidden ground? Chapter 1350. Qin Wentian stood up and stared at the dilapidated city before him. At this moment, he could faintly confirm that a heaven-shaking battle must have occurred here before. One couldn't see the end of this majestic city with a single glance. It was unknown just how vast it was. There were boundary steels guarding the outside. These stone steels had gained sentience and were able to shine together with the stars. They were existences comparable to immortal emperors. And this was merely the stone steels guarding the gate. One could very well imagine how majestic the original appearance of this majestic city was. Sadly, there was no place left that was undamaged. Everything had been destroyed. Those zombies and their loved ones, as well as those tombstones. Could it be that they were all experts from the past? Qin Wentian speculated. The possibility of this was not small. In that case, could that mysterious expert earlier be a lucky survivor? If that was the case, this forbidden ground was even more ancient compared to the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Back then, the royal palace of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom was built according to the laws of the Immortal Mountains. Thinking about it this way, if that mysterious expert was truly a lucky survivor, how many years has he lived for? Just the thought of it caused Qin Wentian to feel fear in his heart. If this was the case, that mysterious expert must be an extremely terrifying old monster. Before this, when the spatial passageway to the heavenly talisman realm closed, Qin Wentian guessed that it wasn't done by the stone monument. Although the stone monument was extremely terrifying, it didn't succeed in suppressing the spatial passageway. After that, the spatial passageway to the heavenly talisman realm closed. That person must be an extremely terrifying character. I might have encountered a supremely powerful old monster. Qin Wentian silently mused. In this azure mystic immortal realms, the strongest experts he heard of were ancient emperors, followed by immortal emperors and immortal kings. In that case, what level was this old monster at? Could it be that he was a peak-stage immortal emperor? Or perhaps, an ancient emperor? Such an existence, why did he want him to break through to the Immortal King realm within a year? If he didn't break through, he would die. With a flash of his silhouette, Qin Wentian entered the depths of the city. He discovered that not only was the city in ruins, it was also destroyed by a supreme destructive might. As he continued forward, he saw the towering demonic saber slashing down from the heavens. Its demonic might was still there, unwilling to dissipate. He saw the terrifying abyssal fire burning an incomparably vast area into an abyss of fire. It was like a land, and he could feel the majestic power of the burning sky from afar. Qin Wentian did not dare to approach it, and he took a detour at a distance. He could even see the lightning region. Bolts of lightning unceasingly rained down from the sky, transforming into a forbidden zone of destruction. If one looked at it from the air, there was basically no one who dared to get close to it. It was only because Qin Wentian was in this majestic city that he was able to see and feel everything clearly. I have to break through to the Immortal King realm now. Qin Wentian silently mused. He no longer had time. When he saw the terrifying destructive might of this city, Qin Wentian didn't doubt that if he didn't step into the Immortal King realm within a year, the other party would really kill him. In addition, he didn't attempt to open up a spatial tunnel to the Heavenly Talisman realm. Although he couldn't sense any aura in the surroundings, he had a strange feeling that the other party was looking at him. Given the terrifying cultivation base of the mysterious man, he might be able to envelop countless regions with a single thought, sealing the spatial tunnel to the Heavenly Talisman realm. He wouldn't be able to escape. Qin Wentian began his journey of cultivation. Sometimes, he would walk, and sometimes he would stop. Sometimes, he would comprehend something, and he would sit down to cultivate. And while he was cultivating, there was a commotion in the Heavenly Talisman realm. Back then when Qin Wentian opened up the spatial tunnel, it was sealed by external forces. The supervising immortal general of the Heavenly Talisman realm sensed it. This matter couldn't be underestimated. Not far away from the stone monument, at the location where Qin Wentian opened the spatial passageway to the Heavenly Talisman realm, a terrifying spatial fluctuation gushed forth. An extremely powerful spatial energy forcefully broke through the spatial barrier as a group of experts walked out, all of them exuding a fearsome aura. There's no mistake, it's the mysterious forbidden zone within the immortal law mountain of the Hokage Sengoku kingdom. One of them spoke. It's still in the depths of the forbidden zone. I wonder which disciple managed to barge into this place. Be more careful, this place is extremely mysterious and there's rumors that there's a terrifying existence lurking there. Even now, no one has managed to unravel the secrets of this place. They continued forward, and soon after, they also saw two gigantic stone steels, shining with the brilliance of the stars, suppressing this space. In front of them, there was only a dazzling stream of light. Emperor-ranked weapons. The eyes of the experts flashed with sharpness. Rumble. A towering suppression energy gushed forth from one of the stone monuments. In an instant, the entire area seemed to be frozen. The countenances of everyone changed, this stone monument could even attack on its own. One of them stretched out a finger and pointed it forward. Instantly, cracks appeared in the sky as cracking sounds rang out. A casual strike from that stone monument was terrifying to the extreme. Numerous silhouettes suddenly descended silently. These silhouettes had no signs of life at all. Zombies. The eyes of the experts flashed. What was this forbidden ground hiding exactly? Who was the one who forcefully sealed the spatial tunnel to their Heavenly Talisman realm? I wonder who is it? Please show yourself. An expert from the Heavenly Talisman realm spoke. His voice rumbled, but it seemed like it had no way to transmit it out. It was suppressed by the two stone monuments, even his voice was suppressed. Opening a spatial tunnel outside of this world, I have no interest in your secrets. Don't come and disturb me. A voice that seemed to be filled with the vicissitudes of life drifted over. In fact, it was impossible to tell the origin of the voice. The eyes of the experts from the heavenly talisman realm flashed. In the depths of the immortal law mountain of the Hokage Sengoku kingdom, there was actually a supreme expert who could see through the secrets of their heavenly talisman realm with a single glance and could even seal the spatial tunnel. "Senior, who are you?" "Before this, a member of our sect was here." "Senior, can you show mercy?" That powerful expert from the heavenly talisman realm spoke, actually addressing the mysterious voice as Senior. Evidently, he could already sense that the owner of this mysterious voice was a terrifying character. "For nameless people, I have never killed anyone. Whether your sect member can live or not, it's up to him. Go back." That voice rang out again. The eyes of the experts from the heavenly talisman realm flickered, filled with reluctance in their hearts. They had never encountered such a thing before. The heavens and earth were boundlessly vast, there would always be some secrets. Just like how their heavenly talisman realm existed in the immortal realms, only a few people knew of it. They frowned, they didn't know how to handle this matter. This terrifying expert was someone from the forbidden grounds, even if he knew of the secrets of the heavenly talisman realm, it shouldn't be too serious. But they were truly unwilling to leave just like that. "Go back, go back, go back." Abruptly, a thunderous boom rang out in the air. The experts from the heavenly talisman realm directly froze there. They only felt a supreme energy causing their bodies to freeze. After that, to their horror, they discovered that their bodies were being forced backwards, slowly being sucked into the heavenly talisman realm. After that, under their incomparably shocked gazes, the passageway to the heavenly talisman realm slowly closed up. "If there's anyone who dares to disturb us in the future, I will slaughter my way into your world." An incomparably thunderous voice rang out in the ears of the experts. After that, the spatial tunnel completely closed. Within the heavenly talisman realm, the experts from the heavenly talisman realm felt their hearts pounding as their bodies trembled. They had never seen or heard of such a terrifying expert before. What cultivation realm is that? Everyone stared at the strongest expert in the center, an immortal emperor. "I don't know." His face was still filled with shock. He didn't know what cultivation realm that expert was at, they weren't even on the same level. That expert was so powerful that he couldn't sense it. He only knew that he had never seen such a cultivation realm before. "Don't go out and antagonize him. Also, don't spread this news outside." That expert solemnly spoke. "Seems like those who entered the dark north immortal mountain are all very lucky. This man isn't easy to kill. Just like what he said, he has never killed anyone before. If not, no matter what major characters entered, they most probably wouldn't be able to walk out alive. But it's rumored that many people died in the forbidden grounds and the death rate is extremely high. At the very least, one must be at the immortal king realm before they have the qualifications to enter. Maybe those zombies didn't participate. If he did, how many people in the immortal realms would be able to stop him? Luckily, this man doesn't care about external matters. The world is so vast, there are truly all sorts of mysteries." That expert spoke in a low voice. After that, the group of experts turned and departed, no longer intending to interfere in the matters of the forbidden grounds. If they still wanted to forcefully interfere, they would surely alarm those existences. Qin Wentian had no idea what was happening in front of the stone monument. Right now, he was completely focused on his cultivation. Time was of the essence and he could sense that he was already very close to the immortal king realm. He had to break through as soon as possible. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared beside Qin Wentian. This was none other than the mysterious expert with long hair. He stood beside Qin Wentian and coldly spoke, "You didn't improve at all, your cultivation speed is actually so slow." Qin Wentian frowned. His cultivation was interrupted. He opened his eyes and stared at the mysterious expert beside him, "Senior. The people from your world actually opened up a passageway to come here. They simply don't know the immensity of the heavens and earth. If it wasn't for the fact that I swore not to kill, all of them would have died long ago. You better pray that they don't reveal my existence. Senior. Qin Wentian wanted to speak, but before he could say anything, the mysterious expert continued, those people who came to the Forbidden Grounds, do they really think that they are so powerful that they can survive here? What they don't know is that everything they see is what I want them to see. If I want them to live, they will live. If I want them to die, they will die. And your life is truly tough. I don't even know why I allowed you to come here. The old man inclined his head. His long hair flowed to the side, revealing a face that was filled with the vicissitudes of life. Junior. Qin Wentian wanted to speak, but he was interrupted again. Your cultivation speed is too slow. You better hurry up and cultivate. If you can't step into the Immortal King realm within a year, you won't be so lucky again. After speaking, that person's silhouette flashed and vanished. Qin Wentian was completely astonished. He completely couldn't see how the mysterious expert disappeared. It was too fast, so fast that it was terrifying. Qin Wentian was somewhat speechless. He discovered that this mysterious expert seemed to be a little talkative. He didn't say anything at all and was interrupted by the mysterious expert. Could it be that he had been lonely for too long? Chapter 1351. Qin Wentian stared at the disappearing silhouette of the other party. He thought back to the words spoken to him earlier as his heart trembled. Within the Forbidden Ground, the major characters of the immortal realms came here to explore, thinking that they would be able to unravel the secrets within. But little did they know that everything was actually controlled by this mysterious character. The places he saw were only the places he wanted others to see. He didn't act to kill, or no matter which major character entered the Forbidden Ground, only death awaited them. This mysterious character was the true king of the Forbidden Ground. Expelling the distracting thoughts in his heart, Qin Wentian calmed his heart and drew in a deep breath. After that, he continued his cultivation journey. There's a Tao in the heavens and earth, I need to explore it. Qin Wentian mumbled as he strolled around the city. Every time he came to a terrifying place, he would sit down and comprehend, sensing the flow of the runic patterns in the world, feeling how the laws were born. Gradually, he tried to control them, to evolve them, to forge his own Tao of laws. The city was boundlessly vast, like another world within the Forbidden Ground. If this place really belonged to a power of the past, Qin Wentian didn't dare to imagine how strong this power was. Most probably, it was a supreme power of the ancient era. In that era, were there ancient emperors? There definitely were. In fact, Qin Wentian was thinking that in this era, were there really no ancient emperors at all? Just because they didn't go out, it didn't mean that they didn't exist. They might be hiding in the world, and even if they truly existed, they couldn't be considered a symbol of an era. Time flowed by. Qin Wentian has already been in the Forbidden Ground for several years. During this period of time, undercurrents flowed in the eastern regions. Although the major powers didn't directly erupt into war, there would occasionally be some small-scale battles. For example, the disciples of the Evergreen Kingdom clashed with others when they roamed the outside world. But because they were scattered in different locations, it was inconspicuous. But there were already many disciples of the Evergreen Kingdom who went out to temper themselves, or even those with nobility level, who lost their lives in battles. In this case, it was extremely abnormal. Evidently, someone had acted, slowly nibbling away at the power of the Evergreen Kingdom, weakening it. This kind of battle seemed to be invisible, but in reality, it was extremely dangerous. It was a surging undercurrent, and once it erupted, it could be world-shaking. Qin Wentian vanished. The people of the eastern regions had no idea where he went. There were rumors saying that back then, he returned to the immortal Qianbian Gate from the Evergreen Kingdom and entered closed-door seclusion. It seemed that he was preparing to break through to the Immortal King realm. Therefore, during this period of time, the Immortal Qianbian Gate did not have an easy time. The Dongshengshan Gate began an expedition on a larger scale than before. Armies led by many immortal kings began to invade and attack the cities at the borders of the major cities, gradually nibbling away at the territory of the Immortal Qianbian Gate. As for the Immortal Qianbian Gate, they mainly adopted a defensive stance, retreating step by step. As for the Dongshengshan Gate, they were extremely aggressive. In fact, among these invading immortal kings, the Immortal Qianbian Gate could even sense the presence of experts that didn't belong to the Dongshengshan Gate. However, although both sides were well aware of this, there was nothing they could do. Now that the situation has already been set, unless immortal emperors stepped out to initiate a final battle, they could only compete with each other in terms of strength. Battles in the immortal realms would often be drawn-out battles. And clearly, a conflict has already erupted in the eastern regions. Sooner or later, a drastic change would occur. At the same time, in the Immortal Qianbian Gate, Qin Wentian's family and friends were all entrusted by Qin Wentian to the Emperor of Qianbian, silently sending them to various places for cultivation. In a certain immortal mountain in the eastern regions, there was an immortal emperor-ranked power named the Unaging Immortal Mountain. The lord of this mountain was an extremely ancient immortal emperor. In fact, his age was even older compared to Eastern Sage and Emperor of Qianbian. However, his cultivation base was extremely low, stuck at the initial stage of the immortal emperor realm. Hence, although it was an immortal emperor-ranked power, it couldn't be considered the hegemon of the eastern regions. In addition, the unaging immortal emperor didn't seem to have any ambitions. He was proficient in concocting immortal pills. Hence, the other major powers didn't dare to offend him and maintained a friendly attitude. Hence, the unaging immortal mountain was like a piece of pure land in the eastern regions. It was similar to the God Hand Mountain Manor before Emperor Yu was exposed, quietly standing in the southern regions. It was just that Emperor Yu's manor didn't accept disciples. Emperor Yu was a hermit and had always concealed his cultivation base. His purpose of staying there was to silently guard the entrance of the Battle Saint tribe. The unaging immortal emperor was different. He had many disciples, and on the mountain, there were many ancient peaks. Each peak was filled with the disciples and grand disciples of the unaging immortal emperor. In one of the ancient peaks in the unaging immortal mountain, there were waves of commotion during these years. It was only because a few years ago, a disciple of the unaging immortal mountain manor came here. This disciple was extremely beautiful with a single glance. Her beauty was unparalleled, like a celestial maiden, causing many females to be jealous and males to be in love with her. It was fine if it was merely her beauty. But after that, she also displayed shocking talent in the Tao of alchemy and was highly regarded by her master, treating her as a treasure. At this moment, this female stood before the cliff of the ancient peak, staring at the clouds ahead. Her beautiful eyes seemed to be staring into space, as though she was in a daze, as though she was thinking of some people, some things. Ching. At this moment, a beautiful female walked over and stood beside her. Staring at her perfect profile, she smiled, staring at the clouds in a daze again. Who are you thinking of? Senior sister. Mo Qingqing smiled lightly but didn't reply. She was nameless, and although she was Qin Wentian's wife, other than the people of the Immortal Qianbian Gate, not many people knew of her existence. Let alone here. Although the monarch arranged for her to come here, she didn't borrow the monarch's name and relied on herself to enter the unaging immortal mountain for cultivation. Hence, no one knew of her. However, even if they didn't know of her, it didn't mean that they didn't know of Qin Wentian's name. Right now, this name was extremely famous in the eastern regions. Even in the unaging immortal mountains, there might be people who have heard of him before. A few senior brothers from the main peak came here again. Who doesn't know of their intentions? Ever since you came here, the frequency of them coming here has clearly increased. Qingqing, your charm is truly great. That beautiful female smiled. Mo Qingqing's expression didn't change at all. She merely smiled and continued staring at the clouds in a daze. Senior sister, I came to the unaging Immortal Mountains only for the sake of cultivation. I don't wish to be disturbed by mundane matters. Mo Qingqing spoke in a low voice. She knew how outstanding Qin Wentian was. Although she didn't wish to catch up to his footsteps, at the very least, she mustn't remain at the same level and should continue moving forward. Only then would her cultivation base not fall too far behind and wouldn't wither away in the future. Naturally, if she could be of some help to him, that would be for the best. She had also put in a lot of effort when she came here, focusing wholeheartedly on pill concoction. Although her talent couldn't be compared to Qin Wentian, after Qin Wentian's meticulous modifications and the baptism of the sacred luminance, she was also someone who had entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy and listened to the Tao lectures there. Even in the unaging Immortal Mountains, she could still be considered extremely outstanding. But there are a few senior brothers who are doted on by the ancestor. Junior sister, don't you want to consider them? That female smiled. Mo Qingqing shook her head and didn't say anything. That female then spoke, in that case, I won't disturb junior sister any longer. After speaking, she turned and left, arriving at another location where many young men could be seen. Is junior sister Mo not here? A young man asked. Junior sister Mo has an empire-toppling countenance and outstanding talent. However, she looks down on all of you senior brothers and has no time to entertain you all. That female smiled, causing the expressions of the young men here to change. Humph, thinking too highly of yourself. You only want to chat and you actually dare to put on airs. A person coldly snorted and flicked his sleeves as he departed. Mo Qingqing naturally didn't know what happened behind her. She was still staring at the clouds. Extraordinary people were destined to be admired, envied by others. She just didn't care about all of these. It was just that she didn't know how Qin Wentian was doing now. She missed him very much. From the clouds, a handsome face appeared. Mo Qingqing also had a smile on her face that could topple the world. He was so outstanding and would definitely break through to the Immortal King realm soon. She had always believed in him. Just like what Mo Qingqing had expected, Qin Wentian was indeed working hard. At this moment, he was sitting cross-legged in a dilapidated palace. Not far away from him, a gigantic long spear was stabbed into the ground. A terrifying aura of destruction permeated the surroundings, enveloping an extremely vast area. Law. With an intention of his will, the destructive energy in the surroundings started to flow according to Qin Wentian's will. After that, the destructive energy flowed towards his body, entering his immortal foundation. At this moment, Qin Wentian suddenly stopped. He opened his eyes, gleaming with sharpness. It's done. I'm only left with the final step. Qin Wentian stood up. His silhouette flashed as he found a spacious area. There were no law attribute auras here to disturb him. Only by doing so would he be able to rely on himself to form a law attribute that belonged to him. There are still a few more months. I hope I can make it in time for the final step. Qin Wentian closed his eyes and sat down, sensing the Tao of heaven and earth in the surroundings. After that, under the control of his immortal sense, the space around him started flowing. His long robes fluttered and there seemed to be a formless flow of energy in this space. It couldn't be seen or touched and could only be sensed. Rumble. He released his astral soul. It was an ancient halberd of destruction. In just an instant, the law attribute energy was unleashed, gradually fusing into his immortal foundation. Although his immortal foundation already had laws, if he wanted to become an immortal king, he had to create his own law domain, astral soul, and body of laws. This was a very long process. Qin Wentian used his immortal sense to communicate, wanting to form a resonance. The energy in the surroundings flowed unceasingly, as though there was a pattern to it. Gradually, these currents formed a connection with Qin Wentian, resonating with him. After that, a black-colored current of destruction appeared. Although it was only a trace, it was a huge breakthrough. Qin Wentian suppressed the excitement in his heart and continued to sense. At this moment, he was only a step away from the Immortal King realm. Chapter 1352. One didn't know the flow of time during cultivation. A year passed in the blink of an eye. However, the Qin Wentian at this moment was still in a state of cultivation, completely unaware of the passage of time. He had already forgotten everything in the external world. The him who was in a state of cultivation knew nothing. At this moment, he was still in the state of cultivation. Not far away from him, the mysterious man was quietly lying there. It was unknown when this mysterious man appeared, but he was just quietly staring at Qin Wentian. Right now, around Qin Wentian, destructive qi currents flowed frenziedly, resembling a river of destruction. Rumbling sounds could be heard as the qi currents flowed unceasingly, enveloping this entire space. Qin Wentian's astral soul radiated an extreme destructive light. That ancient halberd astral soul of his flowed with terrifying destructive law energy. On his body, destructive runes also flowed unceasingly. The destructive energy in the surroundings congregated around him. Under the envelopment of his astral soul, the current Qin Wentian was like a god of destruction, unapproachable. That's enough. A voice abruptly rang out. Qin Wentian only felt his heart trembling as his cultivation was interrupted. He opened his eyes, feeling somewhat unhappy. He glanced at the mysterious man lying beside him. Senior, enough. Although you can only be considered a half-step immortal king, I will temporarily consider you as having passed. However, don't be in a hurry to condense your law domain. You should first comprehend the other law attributes. I'll give you a year's time. If you fail to do so, you will still die. The mysterious man calmly spoke. After that, his silhouette vanished. Qin Wentian was completely dumbfounded. He was somewhat speechless as he cursed in a low voice, "Bastard! Who are you talking about?" A voice suddenly rang out, causing Qin Wentian's heart to tremble. He speechlessly replied, "Senior, I'm cursing myself. Although you are a little weak, there's no need to belittle yourself too much. If you can survive, you will still be able to survive. There's no need to scold yourself." The mysterious man spoke. Qin Wentian gritted his teeth in hatred. This fellow has already reached the Immortal King realm. Even if he truly comprehended it, he wouldn't be able to break through to the Immortal King realm so quickly. Hence, it was basically impossible for Qin Wentian to gain a year's worth of time. Qin Wentian could already be considered to have stepped onto the Immortal King path, but he still needed time to fully step on it. The other party said that he was only at the half-step Immortal King realm and directly interrupted him, giving him a year's worth of time to comprehend other law attributes. "Alright, I'll show you." Qin Wentian murmured in his heart. He then closed his eyes and cultivated. 3 months later, a powerful suppressive force circulated around his body. The entire space was filled with an extremely tyrannical suppressive force. 4 months later, the sword attribute was formed. In less than 5 months, the demonic attribute was formed. 5.5 months later, the dream attribute was formed. In half a year's time, the strength attribute was completed. For the next half a year, he started to break through to the Immortal King realm, allowing himself to truly reach the Immortal King realm. He started to condense his body of laws, transforming his body into laws. With just a single thought, his entire person would become the center of the laws, extremely terrifying. Just when Qin Wentian wanted to solidify his law domain, the mysterious man appeared again. Qin Wentian stared at the mysterious man with a complacent look on his face. This time, he directly spoke first. "How is this junior doing?" "It can be considered passable. You've comprehended the essence of laws. This is very simple. Understanding one law, understanding all laws. Luckily, you aren't a piece of rotten wood or it would be too boring to keep you around. The mysterious man calmly spoke. Qin Wentian almost coughed out a mouthful of old blood. He had already done so much, but the other party actually said that it was very simple. However, the eyes of this undying old man were truly sharp. It was as though he could see through how Qin Wentian cultivated with a single glance. Indeed, after he found the cultivation method, understanding one law, understanding all laws. For some immortal kings, after breaking through to the immortal king realm, they would only rely on a single law attribute to break through. After that, they would need a very long period of time before they would be able to perfectly use all the different law attributes they cultivated to break through to the immortal king realm. Next, you should be able to open your astral gate and condense your seventh astral soul. You can choose your astral soul as you see fit. After you condense your seventh law attribute, you can try out different law domains. The mysterious man calmly spoke. After that, he left. Qin Wentian was speechless. This bastard. However, although he was cursing in his heart, Qin Wentian still did as the mysterious man said. He continued his closed-door seclusion and opened his seventh astral gate. After that, his perception shot up to the 9 heavenly layers. In the boundless starry space, there were 9 astral rivers. Right now, Qin Wentian's perception was already extremely powerful. His perception shot up to the 7th heavenly layer. Although he was enduring a terrifying pressure, it was naturally impossible for him to give up. The astral soul he condensed back then was condensed from a constellation in the 8th heavenly layer. Although it was a little rushed, he still succeeded. This time around, he naturally wanted to condense his astral soul into the 8th heavenly layer as well. Bringing along his powerful will, Qin Wentian's perception rushed up to the 8th heavenly layer. There were even fewer constellations here and they seemed to be very far away from each other. However, when Qin Wentian neared, the majestic aura radiating from the constellations was sufficient to crush the heavens and earth. Despite the vast distance, the current Qin Wentian could still sense the law energy from the constellations, as well as the astral domains of the constellations in the surroundings. It seemed that as his cultivation base improved, Qin Wentian's perception of the constellations grew increasingly stronger. The stronger his cultivation base was, the more he could discover that the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers were all extraordinary, containing inconceivably vast amounts of energy. This time around, Qin Wentian could roam around the 8th heavenly layer. Although he was enduring a terrifying pressure, he could still endure it. Although he didn't dare to hope for the 9th heavenly layer, he could still choose a constellation in the 8th heavenly layer that was more suitable for him. The constellations here all contained boundless law energy. Although after stepping into the immortal foundation realm, one's astral soul would form an immortal foundation and the power of the astral soul wouldn't be directly manifested during combat, the source of a stellar martial cultivator's strength was their astral soul. Without a powerful astral soul, one's talent would naturally be weaker compared to others. Also, after stepping into the immortal king realm, a powerful astral soul would be bestowed with tyrannical law energy, allowing stellar martial cultivators to have a greater advantage in combat. Qin Wentian's perception unceasingly floated about, seeing many powerful constellations. Finally, he stopped in front of a constellation exuding an incomparably majestic aura. His perception stared intently at that constellation. That was a supreme devil constellation. The entire constellation was like an incomparably terrifying devil that stood at the peak of the 8th heavenly layer, causing all living beings to prostrate before it. What was even more terrifying was that this constellation seemed to be able to disintegrate before recovering. Within it, a towering amount of devil law energy could be sensed. I've cultivated the devil path and this constellation is indeed compatible with me. In addition, this constellation seems to contain dual law attributes. Right now, Qin Wentian was no longer a weakling. He had browsed through many ancient scrolls and his understanding was much greater compared to before. He knew that there were some unique constellations that could bestow dual law attributes. Naturally, strictly speaking, it couldn't be considered dual law attributes. However, an astral soul with a dual law attribute would naturally have its own unique abilities. Also, he himself had one. The demon sovereign astral soul was a demon-attributed astral soul. However, could it bestow summoning abilities? In addition, Qin Wentian also knew that dual-attributed astral souls were the most commonly seen constellations of demons, devils, and Buddhas. Because these types of constellations were directly attributed to demons, devils, and Buddhas, allowing the cultivator to condense a demon astral soul, a devil astral soul, or a Buddha astral soul. These astral souls were extremely suitable for cultivating the power of demons, devils, and Buddhas. Other than this, they would also have other unique abilities. This terrifying devil constellation, does it still contain the ability to split apart? Qin Wentian silently mused. If he could form a connection with this constellation, there was a high possibility that other than comprehending devil law energy, it would also bestow him another tyrannical ability. An astral soul from the 8th heavenly layer would surely be incomparably tyrannical. It's worth an attempt. Qin Wentian's perception was already under immense pressure. After he made his decision, he no longer hesitated and directly sent his perception towards the constellation. This time around, Qin Wentian still encountered a powerful repulsive force. However, his will wasn't corroded by the devil energy, and he successfully formed a connection with the constellation. An incomparably resplendent devil light cascaded down from the sky, landing on Qin Wentian, who was cultivating in the forbidden ground. At this instant, the mysterious figure in the ruined city inclined his head and stared at the sky as a terrifying gleam of sharpness flickered in his eyes. Borrowing astral energy to condense an astral soul, Qin Wentian had long since mastered it. After his astral soul stabilized, Qin Wentian continued cultivating. The newly condensed astral soul had a weaker attribute energy, and he needed time to consolidate it, allowing it to grow stronger. This time around, he cultivated for an extremely long period of time. The mysterious figure didn't disturb Qin Wentian again. This time around, he condensed his astral soul in a single breath and forged his devil law body. When the 7 types of law energy circulated around his body, he truly resembled a fiend god, unexcelled in the world. When Qin Wentian opened his eyes, a terrifying sharpness could be seen flickering within. He inclined his head and stared at the sky as a smile could be seen in his eyes. His fists were clenched tightly as crisp cracking sounds rang out. I didn't expect that I would actually be bestowed with such power. An astral soul from the 8th heavenly layer is truly close to the peak. Qin Wentian's gaze seemed to be able to pierce through the 9 astral rivers, staring at the sky. His voice was filled with a blazing heat. Before this, he had been in a state of cultivation and didn't have the time to be excited. But now, he finally couldn't control his excitement any longer. Do you think you're invincible just because you have a devil law attribute? A voice drifted over. Qin Wentian's excitement instantly vanished as his countenance turned black. This undying old bastard, he was always like this, directly extinguishing his excitement. Do you believe that I can destroy you with a single finger? Even your soul would be destroyed, even your corpse wouldn't exist. How can you continue to live? That mysterious figure calmly spoke. You are still too weak. The attribute energy of a cultivator will grow stronger according to their strength. No matter how strong your attribute energy is, what's the use if you are so weak? Qin Wentian gritted his teeth. He truly wasn't strong enough. If not, he would definitely give that damnable fellow a beating. Chapter 1353. The mysterious man appeared before Qin Wentian. His long hair touched the ground, resembling a madman from the primordial era. His eyes were extremely sharp as he stared at Qin Wentian. Next, you can establish your law domain. Think more, think more. You have seen many things in the forbidden grounds and I'm sure you wouldn't be so shallow as to directly use your law attributes to form your own law domain. I have my own plans. Qin Wentian stared at the mysterious man before him as he impolitely spoke. What? You dare to speak to me like this after entering the Immortal King realm? That mysterious expert snorted coldly. In an instant, Qin Wentian felt a terrifying might enveloping him. He felt the heavens and earth sealing up as his body was no longer under his control. His expression was extremely ugly to behold as he stared at the mysterious man before him. It's as easy as flipping my palm to kill you now. I'll give you a year's time and I'll come back again after a year. Don't think that this is enough. If you want to walk out of this place alive, it's still far from enough. If there comes a day when I discover that you are no longer interesting, there's no meaning for you to exist anymore. The mysterious man calmly spoke. After that, his silhouette vanished once more. Qin Wentian didn't even have a chance to retort. His expression was extremely unsightly, the excitement he felt earlier seemed to have been extinguished by a bucket of cold water. With the existence of this mysterious man, it was useless even if he broke through to the Immortal Emperor realm. He wouldn't be able to win against him at all. Could it be that he really had to be controlled by the devil palms of this place forever? He wouldn't even be able to walk out of this place alive. Right now, it has already been many years since he came out to temper himself. He wondered how the eastern regions were doing. Also, was Qingcheng and the others doing well? During these years after the adjudication battle, would the various major powers launch an expedition against the Evergreen Kingdom? Another year. Does this bastard only know that a year is simply not enough? Qin Wentian cursed in a low voice. At his level, a year of cultivation was simply too short. This was especially so now that he wanted to consolidate his foundations. That undying old man only gave him a year each time, causing him to feel that time was extremely tight. Moreover, he didn't know what he wanted to do in a year's time. It definitely wouldn't be anything good. Qin Wentian stood up and released his tyrannical immortal sense. A screen of light circulated around him as his aura changed again, becoming even more extraordinary. This was especially so when he released his immortal sense. He seemed to be in high spirits, like a king of a generation. His immortal sense continued to extend outwards, reaching extremely far away. Every single blade of grass and tree was incomparably clear to him. His vision also grew stronger and he could now see extremely far away. He clenched his fists, feeling incomparably carefree. Law domain. Qin Wentian mumbled. With an intention of his will, a destructive devil might engulf the surrounding space, transforming into a terrifying law domain of destruction. This space was filled with destructive energy, forming a domain of destruction. Everything within this domain would be destroyed. This was the simplest form of a law domain. However, that undying old man clearly wouldn't be interested in the law domains of ordinary immortal kings. That undying old freak's requirements were extremely high. How could his appetite be satisfied so easily? If he couldn't comprehend anything substantial within a year, it would be extremely difficult for him to enter the eyes of that undying old freak. Law domain. Since I want to establish my own law domain, I have to strengthen myself to the greatest extent possible while suppressing others. Only then would my law domain be able to unleash its greatest effect. Qin Wentian silently mused. Given Qin Wentian's understanding of the martial path, he felt that cultivation was a process of unceasing sublimation. Sublimation of one's cultivation realm, sublimation of one's comprehension, sublimation of one's usage of heavenly energy. For example, at the Immortal Foundation realm, one would cultivate law energy. In truth, before they even comprehended law energy, they had already comprehended the power of will. Law energy was like the ultimate form of will energy, a type of sublimation. The law domain of the Immortal King realm, Qin Wentian also felt that it was a type of energy he had cultivated before. Celestial phenomenon ascendants had their own constellations. It was just that this time around, it was also a type of sublimation. In the past, it was immortal. Now, it was an immortal. Constellations are formed from a single type of energy and can be considered the weakest type of constellation. Only when they fuse and converge their energy would they be the strongest. It's the same for law domains as well. The most ordinary law domain is just a body of laws that directly unleashes the law energy, forming the domain of an immortal king. Within this domain, one's own law energy would be able to unleash the most powerful might. Qin Wentian silently mused. This was the simplest type of law domain, and its might was also the weakest. Usually, for those who just entered the immortal king realm, they would be able to comprehend this type of law domain. But as their cultivation base grew stronger, their comprehension would deepen and the law domains they could form would also grow more terrifying. Back then, senior brother by Wuya was able to open his heavenly eye. With the blink of an eye, he could slaughter the heavens and earth, distorting space and law energy, directly destroying Deep Flame's body. Was that because he used a powerful law domain? Qin Wentian mused, recalling the battle between Bai Wuya and Deep Flame back then. That madman wanted me to comprehend a law domain at the very end. Most probably, he wanted me to create the most ordinary law domain. Back then when Qin Wentian was in the Evergreen Immortal Empire, he had fought against many immortal kings before. However, because he was only at the Immortal Foundation realm, those immortal kings he fought against were all ordinary immortal king guards and not geniuses. Hence, with regards to the strength of true geniuses, his knowledge was limited. For everything, he had to depend on himself to comprehend. Qin Wentian once again walked around this dilapidated city. There were many rare ruins here and he believed that they would be able to give him some insights. Qin Wentian walked and stopped occasionally, he wasn't in a hurry to form a law domain. Instead, he continued to ponder and comprehend. He thought back to the process of him comprehending the immortal king realm, as well as his innate techniques. There were some similarities between them. The comprehension of one's cultivation base and the usage of innate techniques were inseparable and from a certain perspective, they were interlinked. At the immortal king realm, one could form a body of laws. They could transform the energy of heaven and earth in the surroundings into law energy of their own attributes, causing their laws to be omnipresent in a certain area. The closer the law energy was to the body, the stronger it would be. As for powerful innate techniques, they would be able to activate the laws of their body, allowing them to unleash extremely powerful attacks. In that case, when one's perception and control over runes were strong enough, would they be able to directly form an innate technique law domain? Allowing the ordinary law energy in the surroundings to be transformed into terrifying offensive and defensive innate techniques. It was very simple to imagine, but how could it be so easy in reality? God's Hand. Qin Wentian first thought of the ultimate art God's Hand. He once saw the Phoenix ancestor unleashing an attack against ancient Emperor Yi. God's hand directly penetrated through boundless space, killing experts who were extremely far away. That kind of might would cause even Buddhas and devils to tremble in fear. But God's hand was still the origin of it. It was activated by the body, and similarly, forming a law domain also required the aid of a body of laws. He could refine his own body of laws to an even more terrifying state, using God's hand to temper it. When Qin Wentian walked, he would occasionally sit down to comprehend. He started to reconstruct his body of laws. His entire body radiated a dazzling light as a divine glow circulated around him, unexcelled in the world. There seemed to be a towering might circulating around him. Also, Qin Wentian clearly wasn't satisfied with just this. God's hand was an all-attribute attack that could be fused into any law attribute, unleashing different types of might. This was a supreme art that was derived from the Battle Saint art and had boundless might. As long as he comprehended enough, he would be able to unleash all sorts of methods. Hence, Qin Wentian wanted to try fusing the law of truth into his attacks. The might of his attacks would surely be terrifying. Qin Wentian started his journey of experimentation, unceasingly comprehending, unceasingly overturning. Back then when he was in the Sacred Academy, he had seen the mirror screen and obtained an extremely powerful divination ability. In addition to the 10,000 laws record, Qin Wentian's comprehension ability was extremely terrifying. It was just that because of how profound one's comprehension ability was, there was no way for him to see it directly. But now, he wanted to create a law domain that belonged to him, and it needed to be extremely powerful. What he needed was comprehension ability. An ordinary law domain was useless to him. It was merely a symbol of an immortal king. A year passed by very quickly. Time passed by too quickly. At his level, a casual cultivation session would require a very long time. A mysterious figure silently appeared beside Qin Wentian. Right now, Qin Wentian, who had his eyes closed in cultivation, radiated boundless immortal light. His body was like a divine body of laws as a terrifying aura gushed forth from him. Just this body alone was already unexcelled in the world. Before Qin Wentian, there was a vast region that transformed into his domain. Countless runes and ancient characters floated in the air, exuding towering devil might as well as a fearsome suppression and destruction attribute energy. Qin Wentian kept on trying, wanting to see how he could make this law domain his strongest. Also, he wanted to truly create a law domain that belonged to him. He didn't need a long time to unleash such power. If he truly wanted to create a law domain, he would need to unleash such terrifying might with a single thought. The difficulty of this was extremely high. Glancing at Qin Wentian, this time around, the mysterious figure actually didn't wake Qin Wentian up. Instead, he spoke, "Your cultivation speed is truly slow. However, this law domain is still passable. There are some small tricks here. After the embryonic form of your law domain is formed, you can go and cultivate it. It's best for you to cultivate it as soon as possible. If not, my temper won't be good." After speaking, he waved his hand and left after tossing out some items. Among the items he casually tossed out, there were dazzling ancient tomes, resplendent treasures, and powerful divine weapons. If these items were to land in the outside world, it would definitely cause an earthquake. Yet, he simply tossed them to the ground, allowing Qin Wentian to comprehend his law domain and cultivate it. Qin Wentian heard the mysterious figure's voice. Even if this old freak wanted to speak, it would be hard for him not to hear it. However, he still steadied his heart and continued to immerse himself in his comprehension, trying to reach the most perfect state. Time flowed by quickly. Qin Wentian just broke through to the Immortal King realm, and his cultivation base continued to advance unceasingly, without stopping at all. Chapter 1354. The Dark North Immortal Mountain opened once every 10 years. Right now, it has already been 10 years since the last time Qin Wentian opened the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Another batch of experts entered the Dark North Immortal Mountain, and this time around, the person in charge was still Baiming no Mue. The examination has already ended and the experts all entered the mountain. Li Yufeng still didn't leave. This time around, he entered together with Baiming no Mue. In the Immortal Mountain, on another ancient peak, a strange scene could be seen, attracting the attention of countless cultivators. So it turned out that over there was a maiden that was as beautiful as a poem and as beautiful as a painting. She was currently seated on the ground, playing her zither, creating a marvelous scene. The sound of the zither seemed to be alive, drifting along with the wind. In the air, numerous paintings actually appeared, using the sound of the zither as a brush. This was simply shocking. It's rumored that this maiden is named Jean and is proficient in music. Her thoughts are clear and her comprehension abilities are extraordinary. 10 years ago, she entered here and obtained her Tao. Some of the spectators spoke, feeling shocked in their hearts. In their eyes, Jean had become a legendary character. Sometimes, 10 years was enough to create a legend. The Dark North Immortal Mountain is a mountain of laws, allowing people to gain insights. However, how difficult is it to break through to the Immortal King realm? Although one would have a 10% chance of breaking through here, the number of people who could truly break through to the Immortal King realm is extremely few. Since Fairy Jean could have such good fortune, she must be extraordinary. She herself has an extremely high comprehension abilities, and it's said that after she entered the mountain, she has always been here painting and playing her zither, not moving at all. She should have left after 3 years, but Princess Nongyue couldn't bear to let her leave. Princess Nongyue is there. She seems to be very concerned about Fairy Jean. Someone turned his gaze to Baiming Nongyue. This time around, she entered the Immortal Mountain together with Li Yufeng. The two of them stood together, staring at Jean as they sighed in their hearts. Miss Jean is truly extraordinary. Baiming Nongyue spoke in a light voice. Yeah, who would have thought that she would be the one to break through to the Immortal King realm? This is truly unexpected. Brother Qin's friends are truly extraordinary. Li Yufeng smiled. I haven't found Brother Qin yet, I wonder how he is now. He should have entered the Forbidden Ground. He is truly capable of doing such a thing. His personality can be seen from his time in Tiandao Sacred Academy. Is the Forbidden Grounds really that dangerous? Li Yufeng asked. That's right, saying that there's a 90% chance of dying is an underestimation of how dangerous the Forbidden Ground is. Baiming Nongyue was the princess of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. She naturally had a clearer understanding of the dangers of the Forbidden Ground. That fellow's luck is extremely good. Let's hope he's fine. If not, the Immortal Realms would lose a character that could affect the entire situation. Li Yufeng faintly spoke. Your evaluation is truly high. Baiming Nongyue glanced at Li Yufeng. I've always been the one to surpass others and leave them behind. He was able to catch up to me and surpass me. If he doesn't deserve this evaluation, doesn't that mean I'm admitting that my future achievements are limited? Li Yufeng hugged Baiming Nongyue's waist as he spoke. If that's the case, why should I marry you? So you are praising yourself. Baiming Nongyue laughed. When do you plan to return? Why should I go back? Li Yufeng asked. What do you want to do? Baiming Nongyue smiled as she stared at Li Yufeng. Cultivate well and break through to the Immortal King realm as soon as possible, bringing a princess wife back to the 100 Refinement sect. I'm sure you would have some face then. Li Yufeng joked, his words causing Baiming Nongyue to glare at him. Nongyue, you are a princess of the dynasty and should be very familiar with the Forbidden Ground. Do you know the situation inside? Li Yufeng seriously asked. I know a little. It's said that the place is filled with danger and ordinary immortal kings would all die if they entered. Even immortal emperors have no way to explore the secrets within. You should be very clear about this. Also, that fellow Qin Wentian is only at the Immortal Foundation realm. Baiming Nongyue was a little worried. Qin Wentian was too impulsive. Has anyone from your dynasty entered before? Li Yufeng asked again. There are quite a few. In addition, I know of one person who truly entered and exited the Forbidden Ground. Baiming Nongyue stared at Li Yufeng. Who? Li Yufeng had a look of curiosity on his face. My elder sister. Baiming Nongyue replied. At this moment, Qin Wentian was still working hard in his cultivation. He established his first law domain and after that, he stopped. Law domains are different from constellations. Law domains can be improved endlessly. As long as you have enough formless energy, you can change your law domain at any time, causing it to grow stronger. Hence, there was no need for him to continue immersing himself in it. He temporarily reached a bottleneck and gave up. For the next few years, he started to cultivate everything the old undying freak left behind for him. Among them, there was a set of saber arts that contained tyrannical destructive might. If one cultivated it to the extreme, they could even slay gods and devils. There was also a set of movement techniques that were boundlessly marvelous, capable of countless transformations. Even if one didn't cultivate wind attribute law energy, they would still possess terrifying transformations. This movement technique was actually comprehended from the body of the divine Rock King and was similar to the energy Qin Wentian cultivated before. However, it was much stronger and was extremely suitable for him to cultivate. There was a divine weapon that emanated a terrifying aura. The first time Qin Wentian touched it, he instantly tossed it away. At the instant he touched it, he felt as though his soul was being slashed apart. His entire person turned numb and he had no way to control his body. From then on, he didn't dare to touch that divine weapon again. At this moment, Qin Wentian stared at the divine weapon in front of him. It was a cudgel and although its strength was shocking, it looked extremely ordinary. The old undying freak tossed it here because he wanted me to pick it up. If I can't do it, I'm afraid. Qin Wentian felt his heart trembling when he thought of the old undying freak's strength. That fellow was simply too powerful. Who knows, he might even be secretly watching him from a corner. Let me try again. Qin Wentian gritted his teeth. He walked forward and grabbed hold of the cudgel. In just an instant, that terrifying energy blasted into his soul with lightning speed, causing him to lose control of his body. His soul was under attack, it was extremely terrifying to the extreme. No, I can't throw it away. Qin Wentian's countenance turned incredibly unsightly. He could no longer control his hands and could only hold on to the cudgel. That terrifying energy frenziedly attacked his soul and this was the first time he felt his soul trembling. It was too terrifying, it felt as though his soul was about to be separated from his body. At this instant, Qin Wentian felt as though his soul was about to scatter. Was this old undying freak trying to kill him? At this moment, the figure of the old undying freak appeared before Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with a pleading expression but the old undying freak ignored him and directly sat down before him. Qin Wentian's eyes widened as his body trembled uncontrollably. That old undying freak was truly watching the show. You don't know this, but this cudgel is a supreme treasure that's extremely rare in the immortal realms. Using it on you is simply a waste of a heavenly treasure. The old undying freak spoke to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian felt an impulse to kill the old undying freak. Didn't the old undying freak know that Qin Wentian wasn't in the mood to listen to him? Don't look at me like this. It's already a miracle that you are able to survive until now. I don't even know why I allowed you to come in here and even allowed you to cultivate. To tell you the truth, I've been here for countless years and you are the second person who came here. The first time, it was a beautiful lass who I found very pleasing to the eye. I couldn't bear to see her die in here. She lived up to my expectations and eventually, I sent her out. Qin Wentian's body was still trembling. How would he care about who came here before? This old undying freak used a divine weapon to scheme against him. In addition, could it be that this old undying freak had been alone for too long and had the desire to talk? However, why did he continue to stay here and not exit? Given the strength of this old undying freak, he should be able to dominate the immortal realms unhindered. Endure a little longer. When you truly feel it, I will help you again. The old undying freak spoke. Qin Wentian was in complete despair, he knew that this old undying freak wouldn't help him at all. After enduring such a terrifying attack, Qin Wentian could actually gradually sense the existence of his own soul. The soul was an extremely wondrous thing, it complemented the fleshly body. Both were indispensable. For stellar martial cultivators, the vast majority of their cultivation arts and innate techniques were focused on the fleshly body. There weren't many who focused on cultivating their souls. However, if one encountered a powerful soul cultivator, it would be extremely dangerous. Naturally, because they lacked the means to cultivate their souls, such powerful cultivators were extremely rare. Qin Wentian had never cultivated his soul before. At this moment, he could only passively endure the attack. Luckily, this attack wouldn't directly destroy his soul or he would really die. After enduring for a long time, Qin Wentian was on the verge of collapse. The old undying freak was still speaking. In the current world, the souls of cultivators are actually so weak. This is simply incomprehensible. If you were in my era, people like you wouldn't even know how you died. Indeed, the world has changed, the number of worlds has increased, and the number of living beings has increased. However, each generation is weaker than the previous one. Or to put it more accurately, the experts are no longer here. Qin Wentian felt that he had no way to endure this. But luckily, you met me. If you couldn't endure it, even if you died here, there would be no meaning to your cultivation. You would be killed by others sooner or later. You are lucky. The old undying freak was still speaking. Qin Wentian could sense that his weak soul was about to separate from his fleshly body. Seems like it's about time. Feel it well. The old undying freak glanced at Qin Wentian. After that, his eyes abruptly gleamed with a dazzling light. Get out! A shout rang out. Qin Wentian's soul trembled as he felt despair. After that, he discovered that he was floating in the air. Something's wrong, his body was still standing on the ground, unmoving. This. Qin Wentian felt his guts shattering. His eyes were filled with despair. His soul was separated from his fleshly body. The old undying freak glanced at Qin Wentian. After that, he spoke in a low voice, you still have some potential. Return. Another shout rang out. Qin Wentian's soul returned to his body. The divine weapon in his hand was taken away and tossed at his feet. His entire body was trembling uncontrollably as white foam gushed out of his mouth. He had experienced a truly terrifying experience. His eyes stared at the old man before him. What kind of terrifying existence was this old undying freak exactly? Back then that lass obtained the undying scripture from me. I shall give you the undying scripture then. The old man spoke in a low voice. After that, he stretched out his finger and tapped Qin Wentian's head. In an instant, Qin Wentian's entire body trembled as his soul shuddered. After that, he directly fainted. AI, how useless. The old man shook his head. When you are able to wield this divine weapon, I will let you out. Chapter 1355. When Qin Wentian woke up, many pieces of information appeared in his mind, including the words of that old freak. Even though he was unconscious, the voice of that undying freak was still imprinted in his mind. Qin Wentian cursed that undying freak in his heart. Undying scripture, death scripture. What the hell are these? Qin Wentian mumbled in his heart. He suddenly thought of those zombies. Could it be that they could revive the dead? This was impossible, it defied logic. Death was death, it was impossible to revive them. Those zombies were merely walking corpses, they had no thoughts of their own. Soul, that undying freak could actually force my soul out of my body and even return it to its original location. Qin Wentian thought back to his earlier experience as his back was drenched in cold sweat. Even now, he still felt terror in his heart. If the undying freak wanted his life, it would be as easy as flipping his palm. The strength of this undying freak had already surpassed Qin Wentian's comprehension. Given his current cultivation base, even if immortal emperors wanted to kill him, they wouldn't be able to do so silently. They would have to unleash their strength first. Even for peak-stage immortal emperors, they would have to use the laws of the heavens and earth to deal with him. But this undying freak was able to kill with just a single voice. Even if his soul left his body, he could easily destroy it. This was simply too terrifying. If Qin Wentian had to describe this undying freak, he would only be able to say that he was unfathomable. Qin Wentian closed his eyes and calmed his heart to comprehend the undying scripture. Very swiftly, he understood what sort of cultivation art the undying scripture was. It was a soul cultivation art. Although he had never come into contact with a soul cultivation art before, this undying scripture was definitely a supremely terrifying soul cultivation art. There was no one in the world who couldn't die. Regardless of their body or soul, as long as they existed, they could be destroyed. It was just a matter of whether one's strength was sufficient or not. This undying scripture naturally didn't mean that one wouldn't die if they cultivated it. It was just that the terrifying part of the undying scripture was that if one cultivated it to the extreme, even if their body was destroyed, their soul wouldn't be destroyed. In fact, there were many other terrifying effects, such as the ability to reconstruct one's body. Of course, this was not the only use of the undying scripture. It was an extremely perfect soul-type cultivation art. Why do I feel that from the very beginning, I was dragged here by that undying freak as a scheme? Qin Wentian mumbled. If it wasn't for the undying freak's intentional actions, how could he still be alive now? Maybe it's because my talent is outstanding, unparalleled in the heavens and earth, and the old pervert has taken a fancy to my talent. He doesn't want to enter the world and hopes to find an outstanding successor, so he deliberately makes things difficult for me. Qin Wentian shamelessly mused. After which, he felt that the possibility of this happening was extremely high. He involuntarily nodded his head, that must be the case. After all, there are too few people like me with such outstanding talent. That old freak must have never met one before. But luckily that undying freak didn't say that he wanted me to join his power and didn't accept me as a disciple. Most probably, he knows his own limits and isn't qualified to be my master. This can't be considered breaking the rules of the heavenly talisman realm. After my cultivation base reaches grand completion, I will find him to settle the debt. Qin Wentian continued to shamelessly think. If the old freak knew of his shameless thoughts right now, he wondered if he would directly separate his soul from his body. Lowering his head and staring at the divine weapon on the ground, Qin Wentian felt panic in his heart. His earlier experience was simply too tragic. Right now, he still felt a lingering fear in his heart. Seems like he had to focus on cultivating the undying scripture. If not, the next time he tried to use it, he would definitely suffer a fate worse than death. As he thought of this, Qin Wentian closed his eyes and calmed his heart. He began to cultivate the undying scripture, starting from the most basic point of comprehending the existence of the soul. Because he had never come into contact with soul cultivation before, his starting speed was extremely slow. Before this, he had never truly sensed the existence of the soul, nor did he pay attention to the connection between the soul and the fleshly body. Only when he grabbed the divine weapon earlier did he truly sense the existence of the soul. The soul residing within the fleshly body was extremely weak. If it left the body, it would be easily destroyed. Once the soul was destroyed, the fleshly body would become a dead body. There was no meaning to it. Hence, the soul of a cultivator would always exist alongside the fleshly body, inseparable. Luckily, Qin Wentian had a similar experience in the past. In that case, the first step wasn't too difficult. He used a period of time to sense the existence of the soul, knowing where it was and controlling its existence. Only then would he be able to cultivate his soul. Qin Wentian once again entered a state of oblivion, unaware of the flow of time. Before this, he didn't expect that after he broke through to the Immortal King realm, he would continue to cultivate here. After comprehending his law domain, he continued to cultivate his soul. His experiences during this period of time were truly bizarre. Luckily, the old freak already promised him that as long as he could obtain the divine weapon, the old freak would let him leave. This day would eventually come, and at that time, he would be able to leave this forbidden ground. Over 10 years passed by in the blink of an eye. He had no idea what was going on in the outside world. Let's hope that there wasn't a huge commotion. After all, immortal wars between peak powers were a very long process. Before there was an extremely strong provocation, emperor-ranked battles wouldn't erupt. Back then, the Sky Mist Alliance felt that victory was already in their grasp and directly suppressed the Evergreen Kingdom Palace. Now, both sides had already reached a certain level of strength and didn't dare to act recklessly. This time around, his cultivation speed was the slowest. Even when he broke through to the Immortal King realm and comprehended his law domain, it wasn't so slow. After all, the cultivation of energy was something that could be traced, it was a sublimation of one's strength. However, the cultivation of the soul was like starting from a blank piece of paper. This was extremely difficult. The undying scripture was something that complemented the other unique ability of his seventh astral soul. He had to comprehend it well, as it would surely be of great use to him in the future. As he cultivated, Qin Wentian's soul energy grew stronger and stronger. In the end, he was able to allow his soul to leave his body and even caused his soul to shine with corporeal light. This was simply shocking. It was unknown how many times stronger his soul was compared to before he started cultivating the undying scripture. Finally, one day, after many failures, Qin Wentian finally picked up the divine weapon and held it firmly. Although his soul was still shaken greatly, he was already able to reduce the impact to the minimum. The figure of the undying old freak appeared. He stared at Qin Wentian and shook his head. "You actually used such a long time. How disappointing, too weak. If I knew this would happen, I would have set a time limit for you." The moment Qin Wentian saw this undying old freak, he felt his blood boiling as he gritted his teeth in hatred. "Why? Do you have any objections?" The voice of the undying old freak turned cold. In an instant, Qin Wentian felt his soul trembling. How would Junior dare? "AI, it's good that you know you don't dare to. After cultivating here for so many years, your strength has improved greatly. This is all because of me. I don't need you to feel grateful. Just accompany me here for 8 to 10 years and chat with me before you leave." The words of the undying old freak instantly caused Qin Wentian's eyes to roll back. He almost collapsed to the ground, foaming at the mouth. This. Qin Wentian wanted to die. Stay here with this undying old freak for 8 to 10 years? Chat. Even if he didn't die, he would go crazy. However, if this undying old freak really had such thoughts, the pitiful Qin Wentian basically had no strength to resist. Not willing. The undying old freak combed his long hair, revealing a pair of eyes and a pale old face. He stared at Qin Wentian. "Do you know how many people want to see me but are rejected? For countless years, I've only seen you and that little lass, yet you are still unwilling to stay with me. If you accompany me for 8 to 10 more years, your cultivation base would definitely improve." Qin Wentian's gaze flickered, he suddenly wavered. If he could really improve his strength, he could consider sacrificing himself. "Don't even think about it. Right now, even if you beg me to stay here, I won't agree." Scram. The undying old freak waved his hand. Instantly, Qin Wentian felt his body rising uncontrollably into the air. His speed was inconceivably fast, as though he was shuttling through space. Terrifying gusts of wind whistled through the air. Boom! Qin Wentian's body directly slammed into the ground, creating a large crater. He cursed in a low voice as his silhouette flickered and leaped out of the crater, his eyes narrowing as he stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian stared ahead. He actually returned to the place where he entered the Forbidden Ground, the periphery of the Dark North Immortal Mountain. That undying old freak waved his hand and blasted him back. This undying old freak was too monstrous. Without any warning, Qin Wentian was blasted back. Those guards glanced at Qin Wentian as their gazes abruptly froze. Qin Wentian had actually returned. Wasn't he one of those who entered the Forbidden Ground tens of years ago? He actually managed to come back alive. An Immortal Foundation expert, he entered the Forbidden Ground and didn't die. Qin Wentian didn't care about their strange gazes. He stared in the direction of the Forbidden Ground as he sighed in his heart. After a moment of silence, Qin Wentian bowed in the direction of the Forbidden Ground as he silently mused, "Old freak, I hope you can wait until I have enough strength to enter the forbidden ground again. At that time, I will definitely fight a great battle against you." After bowing for a long time, he stood up. After that, he elegantly turned and walked towards the exit of the dark north Immortal Mountain. His silhouette flickered. Qin Wentian's speed was extremely fast, passing through the mountains one after another. After that, he came to the peak of a mountain and stared at a figure before him. This figure quietly sat on the mountain, playing a zither. The melody contained a feeling of longing, as though the person playing the zither had always been waiting for someone. Qin Wentian quietly stood there, staring at the beautiful melody as a faint smile could be seen on his face. He didn't expect that for this trip to the Immortal Mountains, he would be together with Jean. Both of them broke through to the Immortal King realm. This was truly a stroke of good fortune. The zither melody continued on unceasingly until it naturally came to an end. Only then did the melody gradually dissipate. Jean's beautiful eyes opened as a radiant smile could be seen. She stared at Qin Wentian. "I knew you would return. Hence, I have been waiting here for you." "Why did you wait for me?" Qin Wentian shook his head and smiled. "Since we came together, we will naturally leave together." Jean spoke in a light voice. Her reason was extremely simple, yet it seemed to be very logical. "Let's go." Qin Wentian smiled. After that, Jean stood up and the two of them walked side by side, heading towards the exit. Outside the dark north Immortal Mountain, there was an expert who saw Jean and Qin Wentian coming out. After that, he couldn't help but to be startled. After that, he spoke, "The two of you, Princess Nongyue has given the order. If the two of you come out, immediately inform her. Princess Nongyue will personally come over. Princess is too polite." Qin Wentian smiled. He stared at Jean. "In that case, let's wait here for Baiming Nongyue." "Right." Jean nodded. Chapter 1356. Baiming Nongyue and Li Yufeng came together with some Immortal King guards. When they saw Qin Wentian and Jean standing together, Li Yufeng laughed. "The two of you seem to be quite compatible with each other. Seems like you are about to have a good time, using me and Jean to tease me." Qin Wentian laughed. Baiming Nongyue surveyed Qin Wentian. At first, he seemed the same as before, but if one carefully sensed him, they could faintly sense that Qin Wentian's aura seemed to have changed a little. But as for what changed, she couldn't tell. This fellow actually managed to exit the forbidden ground. It was truly a miracle. Did he break through? Li Yufeng couldn't be bothered to guess. He directly asked Qin Wentian. "Why don't you guess?" Qin Wentian laughed. Li Yufeng's eyes flashed as a look of shock appeared on his face. Baiming Nongyue drew in a deep breath as well. Qin Wentian actually broke through. "How old are you?" Baiming Nongyue curiously asked. Wu Xiu's age couldn't be estimated just by looking at his appearance. At the peak of Immortal Foundation, even those who have cultivated for thousands of years would have a youthful appearance, let alone Immortal Kings. Even for Immortal Kings who have cultivated for tens of thousands of years, they would still look extremely young. If Qin Wentian and Jean broke through to the Immortal King realm, even if they appeared to be in their 20s, it was hard to tell their actual ages. "I forgot." Qin Wentian shrugged and smiled. For something like cultivation, it was extremely time-consuming. Very few people would care about age, they would only care about the strength of their cultivation base. As to why Baiming Nongyue asked about Qin Wentian's age, it was mainly because she felt that he might be extremely young. If he was really that young, he might have broken all sorts of records and his future accomplishments would be even more terrifying. Baiming Nongyue glared at Qin Wentian. "Let's go to the royal palace for a walk. Since you came to the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, I have yet to invite you to a banquet." "Right." Qin Wentian nodded. After that, their silhouettes flashed as Qin Wentian asked, How is the eastern regions of the immortal realms? There shouldn't be too much of a commotion. If not, there should be some news from the royal palace. I've also paid attention to it. Although there might be undercurrents, a true war between immortals has yet to erupt. Bai Ming Nongyue spoke in a light voice. Qin Wentian nodded his head lightly. As expected, a war between the peak powers of the immortal realms wouldn't erupt in just 8 to 10 years. Qin Wentian heaved a sigh of relief. Since there was no super-immortal war, Qing'er and the others should be fine. They should still be cultivating peacefully. Otherwise, he would have to leave immediately. The royal palace of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom was extremely majestic. Before this, Qin Wentian and the Wan clan had taken a look at it from the outside. But now, he followed Bai Ming Nongyue into the royal palace. As they entered deeper and deeper, they could feel a boundless aura gushing towards them. Within the royal palace, experts were as common as the clouds. Immortal kings could be seen everywhere. This royal palace was the place where the experts of the vast Hokage Sengoku Kingdom gathered, representing the peak power of the empire. We pay our respects to your highness. On the way, many people who met Bai Ming Nongyue would all bow to show their respect. Bai Ming Nongyue also nodded her head lightly. She brought Qin Wentian along as they headed towards a certain direction. Dang! At this moment, the sound of a bell chime rang out, causing Bai Ming Nongyue to halt her steps as a strange look flashed in her eyes. Dang! The bell chime rang out once more, causing the entire royal palace to tremble. The gazes of the experts all turned to the same direction. This bell chime originated from the Emperor Palace. His Majesty was summoning them. Something major had happened. Bai Ming Nongyue's beautiful eyes flashed with a strange light. She then asked, "The Dark North Bell is ringing, all the nobility characters have to head to the Emperor Palace for a gathering." What happened? His Majesty has set up a banquet for everyone in the royal palace. All the nobility characters can head to the Emperor Palace to welcome the return of Princess Yu Huang. A voice rang out together with the bell chime, reverberating throughout the entire royal palace. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with sharpness. He naturally knew what the return of Princess Kitamura signified. The immortal kings of the Tiandao Sacred Academy also came out. Since Princess Kitamura came out, senior brother Bai Wuya would definitely return as well. The immortal kings with the highest talent would all return. Seems like the immortal realms wouldn't be peaceful anymore. They were all at the Immortal Foundation realm and wouldn't be able to cause too much waves in the immortal realms. But for immortal kings, it was different. This was especially so for the peak stage immortal kings with outstanding talent. This trip to the Tiandao Sacred Academy would definitely allow them to improve greatly. Bai Ming Nongyue was first shocked. After that, a smile appeared in her beautiful eyes as she mumbled, "My elder sis might have broken through to the immortal emperor realm." Qin Wentian and Li Yufeng trembled again. Bai Ming Nongyue drew in a deep breath. The youngest immortal emperor in the history of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom is no longer Pei Qing. It's someone from the royal clan of our Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, Princess Kitamura. Awesome! Li Yufeng praised. He had always heard of how powerful Princess Kitamura was. But now, she actually broke through to the immortal emperor realm, becoming the youngest immortal emperor in the history of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. As a female, she was truly worthy of respect. It's extremely rare for father to use the Dark North Bell. If it's only elder sis who returned, there's no way he would create such a huge commotion. Clearly, she has broken through to the immortal emperor realm. Bai Ming Nongyue laughed. Elder sis is truly awesome, the #1 beauty of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom and now, the youngest immortal emperor in the history of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Seems like I can only look up to elder sis forever. You can't put it this way. At the very least, there's one point in which you are more outstanding compared to your sister. Li Yufeng spoke. Oh. What point? Bai Ming Nong Yue curiously asked. You found a man as outstanding as me. Li Yufeng proudly spoke. Bai Ming Nong Yue sneaked a glance at Qin Wentian and Jin. She was speechless. Qin Wentian suppressed his laughter. He didn't expect the saint child of the 100 Refinements sect to be so shameless. However, it's truly not easy to find a man worthy of my sister. No wonder she has no interest in men. Right now, even Pei Qing is no longer qualified. Bai Ming Nong Yue spoke with some arrogance. Let's go. Since this is a wedding banquet, I can naturally bring you guys along. Qin Wentian, I will arrange a banquet for you another day. You wouldn't mind, right? Bai Ming Nong Yue spoke. How can I mind? The Dark North bell is ringing and the Immortal Emperor is arranging a banquet for all the nobility. With such a grand lineup to welcome me to the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, why would I mind? Qin Wentian laughed in a low voice, causing Bai Ming Nong Yue to be speechless again. Li Yufeng laughed uproariously. I didn't expect you to be even more shameless than me. It's fine as long as you guys are happy. Bai Ming Nong Yue was speechless by these two shameless fellows. She turned and continued on her way, heading towards the Dark North Emperor Palace instead of the princess residence. Li Yufeng, have you seen the Dark North Immortal Emperor before? Qin Wentian curiously asked. Nope. Li Yufeng shook his head. In that case, are you nervous this time around? Qin Wentian laughed. This was equivalent to the first time he met the Chongqing the Great. I'm like a jade tree with unparalleled talent. What's there to be nervous about? Li Yufeng magnanimously spoke. I hope you can still be so confident after meeting the Dark North Immortal Emperor. Qin Wentian nodded his head this time around. Also, I have such a powerful elder sister. How tragic. Li Yufeng glared at Qin Wentian and smacked his head. That's right, Bai Ming Nong Yue has such a powerful elder sister. It wouldn't be easy for him to mingle around here. He hoped that Bai Ming Nong Yue's family wouldn't compare him to Princess Kitamura. That would truly be tragic. At this moment, the major characters of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom were all heading towards the direction of the Emperor Palace. There was a banquet in the royal palace, but only those with high statuses and nobility were qualified to enter. These people were all extremely tyrannical and many of them weren't allowed to bow when they saw Bai Ming Nong Yue. They would simply nod their heads and address her as princess. There were even some who were elders of Bai Ming Nong Yue's direct line of descent who needed her to treat them with respect. Hence, Qin Wentian and Li Yufeng followed beside Bai Ming Nong Yue, attracting the gazes of the experts here. Evidently, these people were all curious as to what sort of person the man Bai Ming Nong Yue liked was exactly. Right now, she actually wanted to bring him to the Emperor Palace for a banquet. This was truly an extraordinary matter. Within the Emperor Palace, before a majestic palace, the immortal banquet had already been prepared as experts gathered here. At the very front, several princes personally came to welcome them. When they saw Bai Ming Nong Yue entering with a group of people, a strange look flashed in their eyes. Nong Yue, who are these people? Someone laughed. A few of my good friends. Bai Ming Nong Yue didn't mind it. But in truth, many people knew of the existence of the saint child of the 100 Refinements sect, Li Yufeng. After all, it has been over 10 years since he came to the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Nong Yue, your elder sister has already broken through to the Immortal Emperor realm. You have to work hard as well and don't neglect your cultivation. A young man spoke. His aura was outstanding and he was a prince of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, an immortal king expert. Royal brother is the same as well. Elder sister is younger than you but now, she has already broken through to the Immortal Emperor realm. Royal brother, you have to work hard. Bai Ming Nong Yue smiled as she replied, her words causing the young man to stiffen. He glared at Bai Ming Nong Yue, feeling that his face was somewhat disgraceful. Indeed, with Princess Kitamura's talent, although she was the glory of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, to those princes and princesses, her talent was nothing but a shadow. Your elder sister won't delay her cultivation because of love. What cultivation base do you have now? Why are you being restricted here? When your elder sister returns, she will definitely teach you a lesson. That prince continued. You better care about yourself first. Baiming Nongyue's lips twitched. That young man's gaze turned sharp as he stared at Qin Wentian and Li Yufeng. Qin Wentian's face was filled with black lines, feeling extremely depressed. He felt that he would be implicated by Li Yufeng for coming here today. Li Yufeng wanted to meet with his father-in-law, as well as many princes and an immortal emperor princess. One could very well imagine the pressure he was under, and he would definitely attract all sorts of gazes. Qin Wentian silently scolded himself for not thinking things through. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have stepped into these muddy waters. Princess Yu Huang is truly unparalleled in our dynasty, fighting for the glory of our dynasty. Such a young immortal emperor, there are no precedents in the past, and it would be hard for there to be someone like her in the future. In the future, if a person laughed, but he suddenly paused, as though he was afraid that someone would feel a taboo. And as expected, the countenances of some of the princes changed. Princess Yu Huang is truly powerful, all of us are inferior to her. The number one beauty of our Hokage Sengoku Kingdom is actually the number one heaven chosen as well. She dared to enter the forbidden ground at the Immortal Foundation realm and came out safely. At that time, I already felt that Princess Yu Huang's future was boundless. Everyone was praising Princess Kitamura. Some of the princes had dim expressions on their faces. If Princess Kitamura continued to develop so domineeringly, in the future, the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom would most probably be ruled by her. Chapter 1357. Qin Wentian surveyed the experts in the surroundings. Those who could attend this banquet were all powerful characters at the Immortal King realm or above. All of them had extraordinary statuses in the royal palace. Even the princes and Baiming Nongyue wouldn't receive too much respect in the crowd. However, these people weren't stingy with their praises for Princess Kitamura. All sorts of voices drifted into Qin Wentian's ears, sounding extremely chaotic. Although Qin Wentian didn't pay too much attention to them, the vast majority of them were praising Princess Kitamura. There were even some who were filled with reverence. Immortal Emperor, how many people could only look up to this height in their entire lives? Even for those who attended this banquet, including all the immortal kings, only a single digit would be able to step into the Immortal Emperor realm. However, Princess Kitamura has already broken through from the Immortal King realm to the Immortal Emperor realm. How could the word, heavens chosen, be sufficient to describe her? She was simply unrivaled in the heavens and earth. In their words, Princess Kitamura was already unrivaled in the immortal realms. Her talent could shock the entire immortal realms. At this moment, there were experts walking out from the Emperor Palace. Many people bowed slightly. There were Emperor-ranked characters walking out, receiving the respect of the crowd. Immortal-ranked experts were lofty existences no matter where they went, let alone Princess Kitamura, who was the youngest immortal emperor in history. Finally, a middle-aged man exuding magnificence walked out. In an instant, the voices stopped. Everyone turned to him and bowed in unison, "We pay our respects to your majesty." Qin Wentian surveyed the man before him. This man seemed to be around 40 years of age and had the vigor of a dragon and tiger. Although his aura was calm, his gaze was immeasurably deep. His eyes were filled with spirit, sweeping through everyone with a single glance. Everyone felt as though the immortal emperor was looking at them. Today, I invited all of you here for a joyous banquet. That lass Yu Huang has always been extraordinary since young. Regardless of which aspect she is in, she is incomparably outstanding. Right now, she even broke the record of being the #1 emperor in the history of our Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, becoming the youngest immortal emperor since the founding of our dynasty. Hence, I wish to share this joy with everyone and welcome her together. Everyone, I hope you all won't mind, right? The Dark North Immortal Emperor smiled. His voice was warm and polite, appearing very approachable. Everyone laughed. Princess Yuhuang's talent is outstanding. Now that she has broken through to the Immortal Emperor realm, this is naturally a joyous matter. Let us congratulate Your Majesty. Congratulations, Your Majesty. All the experts bowed. The Dark North Heavenly Emperor smiled and said, "You don't have to be so polite. Please, take your seats. Your Majesty, please take your seat." Everyone naturally understood the rules of etiquette. If the Dark North Heavenly Emperor didn't enter the banquet, who would dare to do so? Even if His Majesty didn't mind, they still had to be polite. All right. The Dark North Immortal Emperor nodded and sat on the main seat. The princes and princesses all took their seats below him. After that, everyone sat down. Everyone, please take your seats. However, the banquet might have to wait for a while. After all, the purpose of this banquet is to welcome Yu Huang. I hope that everyone won't mind. The Dark North Immortal Emperor smiled warmly. Everyone nodded, indicating that they understood. This was only natural. Nong Yue, why are you sitting there? At this moment, the prince who quarreled with Baiming Nong Yue earlier spoke, his words causing Baiming Nong Yue to unhappily glance at him. As the sound of his voice faded, the Dark North Immortal Emperor turned his gaze to Baiming Nong Yue before glancing at the three people beside her. He then smiled, "Nong Yue, why haven't father seen these three before?" "Father, they are all my friends." Baiming Nong Yue spoke, silently cursing her father for acting dumb in her heart. The entire Hokage Sengoku kingdom belonged to him. How could matters in the royal palace be hidden from him? Let alone the fact that this concerned her man. The Dark North Immortal Emperor should have long known about it. Why don't you introduce them to father? The Dark North Immortal Emperor smiled, appearing incomparably warm. However, Qin Wentian also knew that a character like the Dark North Immortal Emperor would surely be extremely astute. How could he not know of Li Yufeng? These are my friends, Qin Wentian and Jin. They came from afar, hence I specially brought them to the royal palace. I hope father won't blame me. The Dark North Immortal Emperor pointed to Qin Wentian and Jin as he spoke. After that, he pointed to Li Yufeng. However, before she could say anything, Li Yufeng already stood up and bowed to the Dark North Immortal Emperor with a smile. "I'm Li Yufeng from the 100 Refinements sect, I pay my respects to Your Majesty." Someone from the 100 Refinements sect? The Dark North Immortal Emperor feigned ignorance. He then smiled, "You are so far away, why are you so free to come to my royal palace to play?" Qin Wentian secretly laughed in his heart. This Dark North Immortal Emperor's ability to feign ignorance was truly top-notch. Let's see if this Li Yufeng still dares to boast in front of the Dark North Immortal Emperor. Junior is acquainted with Nong Yue and we have a mutual admiration for each other. Because I couldn't control my longing for her, I specially came to the royal palace. Li Yufeng also understood that the Dark North Immortal Emperor was feigning ignorance. Hence, he decided to lay his cards on the table, causing Qin Wentian to silently muse that this fellow was truly audacious, directly saying that he and Baiming Nong Yue had a mutual admiration for each other. Qin Wentian was filled with admiration for him. Oh! The Dark North Immortal Emperor glanced at Baiming Nong Yue. "Nong Yue, is that so?" Baiming Nong Yue also stood up. "Father, Li Yufeng's words are the truth. When a daughter is of age, she can't be kept at home. Such a major matter, why didn't you discuss this with father first? Could it be that you are planning to marry him in private?" The Dark North Immortal Emperor calmly spoke, no longer as amicable as before. A moment later, even Qin Wentian who was at the side felt a pressure gushing over. As long as the emotions of the Dark North Immortal Emperor fluctuated, everyone would feel a sense of pressure. Your daughter doesn't dare to. This time around, I brought Li Yufeng here because I want father to take a look at him. Bai Ming Nongyue bowed. Are you planning to act first and report later? That prince earlier coldly laughed. Bai Ming Nongyue coldly glanced at him. The relationship between the princes and princesses of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom wasn't so harmonious. The Dark North Immortal Emperor had many wives and this prince had the same father but different mothers as Bai Ming Nongyue. It was inevitable that there would be conflicts in the royal palace. Even for an immortal dynasty that focused on cultivation, it was no exception. Also, casually bringing your friends to the banquet? Could it be that Nongyue, don't you know what kind of standard this banquet is? Is it a place where your ordinary friends can casually enter? Another prince impolitely spoke. The nobility characters as well as those attending the banquet all fell silent. This was the family matter of the Dark North Immortal Emperor, it wasn't their place to interfere. I was originally preparing to host a banquet in the princess residence and coincidentally, the bell chimes rang out. I know that Elder Sis has broken through to the Immortal Emperor realm and the royal palace is celebrating. This isn't a secret, as a princess of an immortal dynasty, can't I bring my friends here? Bai Ming Nongyue counter-asked. How willful. That prince coldly snorted. Enough, Yu Huang has arrived. The Dark North Immortal Emperor calmly spoke, causing the quarrels to cease. The gazes of everyone turned to the horizons and as expected, not long after, a few figures could be seen flying over. There were immortal kings who went to welcome Bai Ming Yu Huang, as well as the immortal kings who entered the sacred academy together with her. They all came over together. The Dark North Immortal Emperor stood up. Everyone instantly stood up as well, staring at Princess Kitamura who was slowly walking over. That supreme beauty was as dazzling as ever. She stood there, causing the other geniuses in the surroundings to lose their luster. No one could compete with her for the limelight. Yu Huang, my daughter. The Dark North Immortal Emperor smiled, his voice filled with doting love and pride. This daughter of his was the most outstanding one among all his children. Regardless of beauty or talent, she was naturally the one he doted on the most. The youngest immortal emperor in history. In the future, her achievements might even surpass him, her father. He would naturally be proud of such a daughter. Father. Princess Kitamura halted her steps and called out to her father. We pay our respects to your majesty. The others bowed. Congratulations to Princess Yu Huang for breaking through to the Immortal Emperor realm. The experts at the banquet all clasped their hands in congratulations. For a period of time, the atmosphere was extremely lively. Princess Kitamura nodded lightly to everyone, there was no joy nor sorrow in her expression. Her personality was as cold as ice, as though she wouldn't be moved at all. Her heart was like this, other than the power she had, external fame wouldn't be able to sway her. What a cold and elegant woman. Qin Wentian stared at Princess Kitamura as he silently mused. He had met Princess Kitamura before a very long time ago. But at that time in the city of ancient emperors, the one he met wasn't Princess Kitamura's true self. He had no idea what she was, and she could even seize the body of others. It was extremely bizarre, like a beautiful female ghost. Yu Huang, come and sit beside father. The Dark North Immortal Emperor smiled. Princess Kitamura nodded her head lightly. After that, she stepped out and moved to the side of the Dark North Immortal Emperor. The Dark North Immortal Emperor personally gave half of his seat to Princess Kitamura, causing the hearts of the nobility to tremble. The countenances of many princes and princesses froze as an unsightly look flashed in their eyes. However, they soon concealed it. The Dark North Immortal Emperor gave half of his seat to Princess Kitamura. Although it seemed to be an unintentional action, if one thought deeply about it, the meaning behind it was sufficient to cause the hearts of everyone to tremble. They didn't know if the Dark North Immortal Emperor had that layer of meaning, or if his words were half true and half false. However, Princess Kitamura didn't mind it at all. If he wanted her to sit, she would sit. Alright, let the banquet begin. The Dark North Immortal Emperor waved his hand. Everyone returned to their seats and the banquet began. The Dark North Immortal Emperor raised his cup. Let's toast to Yu Huang, to celebrate the glorious return of my beloved daughter. Congratulations to Princess Yu Huang for her glorious return. Everyone raised their cups and drank. Yu Huang, this time when the immortal kings came out from the Sacred Academy, what's the situation inside? The Dark North Immortal Emperor asked. Father, with the opening of the Heavenly Tao Sacred Academy, the era is about to change. Maybe things might really be like what the rumors say, the era of ancient emperors is about to begin. The vast immortal realms would surely be filled with a storm of blood and storms. Princess Kitamura sighed, her words causing the expressions of everyone to freeze. The Dark North Immortal Emperor asked, why do you say so? This time around, the Tiandao Sacred Academy has opened. For those at the Immortal King level who entered the Sacred Academy, a total of 5 immortal emperors have emerged. As the sound of Princess Kitamura's voice faded, it was like a bolt of lightning striking the hearts of everyone, incomparably shocking. In a short span of less than 100 years, 5 immortal emperors emerged from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Has she gone crazy? When did it become so easy for immortal emperors to emerge? Qin Wentian's gaze also trembled. He knew the difficulty of cultivation. Back then, although the Immortal Foundation realm was chased out after 50 years, it was a fact that no immortal kings were born. There were many who were already close to the Immortal King realm. However, there were actually 5 immortal emperors among the immortal kings. This was simply unbelievable and hard to imagine. No wonder everyone was shocked. Clearly, they were all stunned by this news. Even the Dark North Immortal Emperor started. After that, he spoke, seems like a storm is about to rise in the immortal realms. Although 5 immortal emperors wouldn't be able to cause too much of a storm, this is a sign that a new era is about to be born. Maybe, the ancient emperors are among you all. Everyone nodded in agreement. Maybe, the ancient emperors were none other than Princess Kitamura. Chapter 1358. An Ancient Emperor. Princess Kitamura stared into the distance. After that, her beautiful eyes turned and stared at Baiming Nongyue as she asked, Nongyue, why are you together with him? Him. Baiming Nongyue's gaze froze. The eyes of everyone turned over only to see Princess Kitamura's beautiful eyes landing on Qin Wentian who was beside Baiming Nongyue. It wasn't Li Yufeng but Qin Wentian instead. Brother Qin. Baiming Nongyue asked. Why did you appear in my Dark North Royal Palace? Princess Kitamura turned her gaze onto Qin Wentian. Elder sis, Brother Qin is my friend. Baiming Nongyue spoke. Nongyue is truly outrageous, bringing just anyone to our royal palace. In addition, this is a banquet to welcome you, Yu Huang. She even dares to bring her friend here. Doesn't she know if he has the qualifications or not? The prince earlier added insult to injury. How can my friend not have the qualifications? Baiming Nongyue was extremely unhappy. Who knows where these people from the 3 sects and 9 paths came from? Why don't you look at what place this is? That prince coldly snorted. Even the people from the 3 sects and 9 paths are stronger than you. Baiming Yu Huang glanced at that prince, causing him to start. He stared at Baiming Yu Huang as his expression grew unsightly. He could say that it was Baiming Nongyue, but now that Baiming Yu Huang had entered the Immortal Emperor realm, his father even wanted her to sit beside him and the royal palace had prepared a banquet for her. He didn't dare to refute but he still snorted coldly in an unhappy manner. You are not convinced? Princess Kitamura's expression turned cold. The first time I met him, he was still at the celestial phenomenon realm. That was less than 100 years ago. The second time I met him was when the Tiandao Sacred Academy opened. At that time, he had already broken through to Immortal Foundation, but he was only at the initial stage. Now, he is already at the Immortal King realm. What about you? From Celestial Phenomenon to the Immortal King realm, how long did you take? The people in the surroundings all drew in a breath of cold air as they stared in shock at Qin Wentian. They didn't expect that the friend of Baiming Nongyue who was quietly sitting there would actually be so outstanding. In addition, Qin Wentian was such a young immortal king. From the Celestial Phenomenon realm to the Immortal King realm within 100 years. What cultivation speed was this? Many people turned their gazes to Princess Kitamura. Wasn't this speed even faster than Princess Yu Huang? You can't even get into the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Instead of pointing fingers here and scheming against each other, you might as well spend more time thinking about how to cultivate. Princess Kitamura impolitely continued berating. That prince's expression turned extremely unsightly to behold. He wanted to retort, but the Dark North Immortal Emperor also spoke at this moment. Yu Huang is right. You should focus on your cultivation. What's the point of wasting your time on such minor matters? The prince's face turned pale. He immediately lost his temper and said, "Yes, father." However, his heart was filled with hatred for Baiming Yu Huang. These simple words instantly caused his image and status to weaken by an unknown amount. Qin Wentian, could you be that fellow who caused an emperor-ranked war in the eastern regions? Over 10 years ago, the Chongqing the Great announced that he would betroth his daughter, Princess Qin, to a young man named Qin Wentian. I'm sure you are that young man, right? At this moment, some people suddenly recalled the introduction Baiming Nongyue gave to Qin Wentian. Earlier, this name sounded somewhat familiar, but they didn't pay too much attention to it. Now that Princess Kitamura mentioned it, they suddenly recalled this matter. Oh! The gaze of the Dark North Immortal Emperor turned to Qin Wentian with interest. This friend of Nongyue actually had such a great background. Back then, he had heard of the emperor-ranked war in the eastern regions. The commotion was so great that it even caused the adjudication battle during the era of ancient emperors. He didn't expect that the person who played the most important role would be here at the banquet. Also, he was so young and his cultivation speed was so terrifying. The Chongqing the Great even wanted to recruit him as his son-in-law. You came here for the Dark North Immortal Mountain, right? Breaking through to the Immortal King realm in the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Princess Kitamura's beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian stared at this supreme beauty before him as he felt a sense of danger. This woman was too cold, noble and emotionless. Her fair face was so beautiful that it was suffocating. She actually easily guessed where Qin Wentian broke through to the Immortal King realm. Qin Wentian felt that things might be troublesome if he encountered her. Princess Yu Huang is intelligent. This time around, I did break through to the Immortal King realm in the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Qin Wentian nodded. Back then you obstructed me from obtaining the inheritance. What do you have to say about that? Princess Kitamura's beautiful face turned cold. Only now did everyone know that Princess Yu Huang was acquainted with this person. There seemed to be some conflict between them. So many years have passed and Princess Yu Huang has already broken through to the Immortal Emperor realm. Why is there a need to be so calculative? If I have offended you in any way, Qin Wentian would like to apologize. Qin Wentian spoke. I naturally won't be calculative. Not being able to obtain the inheritance is my own problem. But since you are here now, I can save a lot of trouble. Princess Kitamura coldly spoke. A moment later, Qin Wentian's expression changed. What did this Princess Kitamura want to do to him? What does Princess Yu Huang want? Qin Wentian asked. Where's that demonic beast beside you? Also, you seem to possess ancient Emperor Yi's secret art, God's hand, right? Princess Kitamura spoke. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed, his expression was somewhat unhappy. Is this how the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom treats their guests? Elder sis, he is a friend I brought over. Baiming Nongyue spoke unhappily. Nongyue, this matter has nothing to do with you. Princess Kitamura's voice was as calm as ever. I'm sure everyone has heard of the emperor-ranked war in the eastern regions. If I, Qin, had offended the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, there's nothing I can say. But if something happened to me because I was invited here as a guest, many powers in the eastern regions would definitely not let this matter rest. Princess, why must you be so stubborn over such trivial matters? Qin Wentian's tone also turned cold. I won't do anything to you, I'm just asking for some things. You won't lose a single strand of hair. Also, I will invite you to my princess residence as a guest. Princess Kitamura calmly spoke, causing Qin Wentian to be speechless. This woman was simply unfathomable. In her eyes, there was only cultivation. Everyone, there's no need to mind this matter. Just continue with the banquet. After the banquet, I will invite him to my princess residence. Princess Kitamura spoke as though nothing had happened. Everyone smiled and nodded, acting as though nothing had happened. Even the Dark North Immortal Emperor acted dumb. Qin Wentian wanted to cry when he saw this scene. These major characters of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom were truly a bunch of hoodlums. Yu Huang, the other person beside your younger sister Nongyue, said that he is her boyfriend. What do you think? The Dark North Immortal Emperor spoke to Princess Kitamura. It's hard to avoid love. As long as you don't wallow in it, it would affect your cultivation. Nongyue, you have to control yourself. This matter is ultimately your own matter and you have to walk your own path. Others won't be able to replace you. Princess Kitamura calmly spoke, neither agreeing or disagreeing. Yu Huang, your words aren't without reason. Nongyue, it's not that reliable to place your hopes on a man. As a female, you should have some achievements as well. Your elder sister's talent is outstanding, how many people in the immortal realms are worthy of her? You better take care of yourself. The Dark North Immortal Emperor calmly spoke, reminding Baiming Nongyue, but he wouldn't interfere too much. As for whether he would approve or not, the currently Yufeng clearly didn't have the qualifications to do so. It was already very polite of him not to object. Oh. Baiming Nongyue was somewhat unhappy. She stared at Qin Wentian with an apologetic gaze. She had no way to stop her elder sister's decision. However, she would watch over her elder sister and Qin Wentian. In that case, her elder sister wouldn't be able to do anything to Qin Wentian. Brother Qin, if there's an opportunity, I will definitely secretly release you. Today, I've implicated you. Baiming Nongyue transmitted her voiceover. This matter can't be blamed on you. In any case, your elder sister also said that I won't lose a single strand of hair. I can only blame it on my bad luck. Jin, please help me make the arrangements. Qin Wentian was quite open-minded. During the banquet, there was naturally no lack of praises for Princess Kitamura. She became the main character and occasionally, there would be people who would notice Qin Wentian and Li Yufeng. These two fellows seemed to be extraordinary. This was especially so for Qin Wentian, he was a legendary young man. Such a young immortal king was simply terrifying. After the banquet ended, Princess Kitamura spoke to the Dark North Immortal Emperor, Father, I've cultivated in the Sacred Academy for many years. Now, I need to consolidate my foundations before I return to my own residence. Emichim, go ahead. The Dark North Immortal Emperor naturally agreed. Qin Wentian, come with me to my residence. Princess Kitamura spoke to Qin Wentian, her tone cold. She was clad in a simple white robe, yet it was unable to mask her magnificence. Regardless of her face or figure, they were both perfect. Since Princess Yu Huang has invited me, I will naturally accept. Qin Wentian knew that in this royal palace, there was no way he could reject. I will go as well. Baiming Nongyue spoke. Princess Nongyue, there's no need. I believe that Princess Yu Huang won't do anything to me. Qin Wentian glanced at Jean. Baiming Nongyue's beautiful eyes flashed before she nodded, Elder sis, I also believe that you won't do anything to my friend. If not, I will never forgive you. Let's go. Princess Kitamura glanced at Baiming Nongyue before stepping out. Qin Wentian smiled at Jean, Jean, take care of yourself in the future. Jean was a little worried. I will introduce a master to Miss Jean. Brother Qin, there's no need to worry. In the future, you can pay a visit to Miss Jean. Baiming Nongyue stared at Jean. What does Miss Jean think? Many thanks, Princess. Jean nodded lightly. This time around, she didn't reject. Qin Wentian had a carefree smile on his face as he followed after Princess Kitamura. Princess Kitamura's residence was extremely quiet and the environment was beautiful. There was actually no one here, not even guards or serving girls. Most probably, this had something to do with her personality. Such a large residence, is there only Princess Kitamura staying here? Qin Wentian curiously asked. Isn't it good to not be disturbed by others when cultivating? Princess Kitamura stared at Qin Wentian. Aren't you worried at all? Princess Yu Huang has already promised that she wouldn't let me lose a single strand of hair. What's there for me to be worried about? In addition, with such a beautiful environment, being able to interact with the number one beauty of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, how many people would dream of this? Qin Wentian joked, his words causing Princess Kitamura's beautiful eyes to coldly glance at him. You are truly gutsy, daring to speak to me like this. Princess Kitamura spoke. I'm merely speaking the truth. For a supreme beauty like Princess Yu Huang, just looking at her is enough to make one's heart and soul warm. Qin Wentian continued. Since he couldn't win in a fight, he might as well tease her a little. This could also be considered revenge for being imprisoned. I hope you will always be like this. Princess Kitamura smiled at Qin Wentian. This smile was beautiful to the extreme, causing Qin Wentian to be in a daze. However, within that smile, there was a hint of demonic brilliance. What is this female ghost planning? Qin Wentian's heart trembled. He mustn't be tempted by her beauty. Chapter 1359. Princess Yu Huang, where will I stay? In this princess residence, only you are allowed to stay. Could it be that Qin Wentian stared at the smile on Princess Kitamura's face as his heart trembled. However, his words were still as shameless as before. Princess Kitamura's smile vanished as her expression turned cold. I truly want to see how long your mouth can last. In this princess residence, it's best that you don't wander around recklessly. Although I promised that I wouldn't let you lose a single strand of hair, if you take the initiative to court death, I won't be polite to you. Also, if you are not satisfied with my invitation, you can tell me. But if you secretly leave, how can I do that? Being able to stay together with Princess Yu Huang is something that many people yearn for even in their dreams. How can I, Qin, be willing to leave? Qin Wentian spoke. Humph. Princess Kitamura flicked her sleeves as her silhouette flashed and she directly left. She actually didn't do anything to Qin Wentian, she only invited him to her princess residence to be placed under house arrest. As long as he didn't step out of the princess residence, there shouldn't be any problems. What does this female ghost want exactly? A look of contemplation appeared on Qin Wentian's face. The first time he met Princess Kitamura was in the city of ancient emperors. At that time, he only felt that Princess Kitamura was unbelievably beautiful, appearing and disappearing unpredictably like a female ghost. She could even seize control of the body of others. Even now, he still felt a shadow in his heart, silently calling Princess Kitamura a female ghost. Princess Kitamura left alone, leaving behind Qin Wentian in a daze in her residence. His immortal sense enveloped the princess residence. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he came to a more elegant hot spring. He had nothing better to do and could only continue to consolidate his foundation. He just broke through to the Immortal King realm not long ago and there were still many techniques worth comprehending. Since he was placed under house arrest by Princess Kitamura, he might as well just stay here peacefully. Qin Wentian closed his eyes and soon sank into a state of immersion, completely forgetting the situation he was in. Time slowly flowed by as night fell. Astral light cascaded downwards, illuminating the ancient royal palace of the Dark North Empire. Astral light shone unceasingly in every corner of the royal palace. Evidently, there were extremely powerful experts borrowing the power of the constellations in the sky to cultivate. Qin Wentian had no distractions in his heart. But at this moment, a ghost-like figure silently flew over. This ghost-like figure was clad in white and seemed to have no bones at all. It floated in the air, exuding no aura. In addition, this ghost-like figure was extremely beautiful. It was none other than Princess Kitamura. Just like what Qin Wentian had imagined, she was a female ghost. Princess Kitamura moved closer to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian frowned, as though he had sensed something. However, his eyes were still closed. Princess Kitamura's figure floated behind Qin Wentian and slowly merged into Qin Wentian's body, seeping into Qin Wentian's body bit by bit. It was like her silhouette was an incorporeal existence. At this moment, Qin Wentian's body trembled. Princess Kitamura's shadow also trembled within Qin Wentian's body. That was the trembling of her soul. In that illusory soul world, Qin Wentian and Princess Kitamura's souls stood facing each other. Both of them were inside Qin Wentian's body. A terrifying energy sealed this body, causing his soul to have no place to hide. You have also cultivated soul energy. Princess Kitamura's beautiful eyes flashed with a strange light. She was actually trapped. Seems like she had underestimated Qin Wentian. Princess Yu Huang, what do you mean by this? Could it be that the soul is the foundation of a human? If the soul is gone, the fleshly body would merely be a bag of skin. This is a great taboo for cultivators. Qin Wentian's soul stared at her. The two of them were conversing through their souls, but in reality, no sound could be heard. Back then you seized my inheritance. Don't you need to pay any price? Princess Kitamura spoke. What price does Princess Yu Huang want? Qin Wentian spoke. Prying into my soul and memories. Can you guarantee that you won't harm even a strand of my hair? This method is truly powerful, but princess, aren't you going too far? The foundation of a human was in their soul. Their memories were there as well. Prying into his soul was equivalent to prying into everything about Qin Wentian. All of his secrets would be exposed. This Princess Kitamura was simply too ruthless for the sake of cultivation. You owe me. Since you are unwilling to return it, I can only come and take it personally. Princess Kitamura coldly spoke. Qin Wentian was somewhat enraged. His expression was unsightly as he spoke. Since this is the case, I truly want to see how Princess Yu Huang can seize my memories. As he spoke, Qin Wentian's soul actually manifested a tyrannical attack, transforming into a terrifying gigantic palm that resembled the god's hand. It smashed towards Baiming Yu Huang's soul, exuding a majestic soul aura. Baiming Yu Huang groaned in misery as she was flung through the air. Her body trembled as her aura grew increasingly weak. Qin Wentian's soul entered Princess Kitamura's body only to see Princess Kitamura coldly staring at him. Seems like I have underestimated you. However, if you think that your soul is stronger than mine, aren't you a little too arrogant and ignorant? As the sound of her voice faded, in the external world, Qin Wentian suddenly felt a tyrannical aura. After that, he saw a figure walking through the air, exuding resplendent astral light. Princess Kitamura exuded magnificence through the generations. Bathed in the astral light, she was like a goddess from the 9 heavens, incomparably beautiful. However, her expression was cold as she walked towards Qin Wentian, step by step. Evidently, Princess Kitamura's soul hadn't left her body. If not, how would she be able to control her body and exude such a terrifying aura? In that case, what was the soul trapped by Qin Wentian? Is this the method she used to enter the city of ancient emperors? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. This must be the case. Princess Kitamura must have cultivated a unique soul technique that allowed her to split her soul energy. Back then, she used this technique to enter the city of ancient emperors and appeared at the gathering place of celestial phenomenon ascendants. I promised Nongyue that I wouldn't harm you. Don't force me. Hence, it's best that you cooperate. Princess Kitamura's voice was cold as she walked towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's expression was extremely unsightly to behold. Princess Yu Huang, you should understand how taboo it is to pry into the memories of others. Do you really want to do this? Humph, Princess Kitamura stepped out. Who asked you to obstruct me from obtaining the inheritance back then? She stood in front of Qin Wentian and stabbed out with a finger. In an instant, a terrifying energy gushed forth from her. With a rumbling sound, Qin Wentian's body trembled violently. After that, his soul was actually forced out of his body. In the next instant, Princess Kitamura closed her eyes as her soul also left her body. A tyrannical soul aura gushed forth, enveloping Qin Wentian's soul. A battle of souls. Qin Wentian's expression was incredibly unsightly to behold. He didn't expect that he would encounter such trouble the first time he cultivated the undying scripture. If not, things would be even more dangerous. He wouldn't even have the slightest ability to resist. This Princess Kitamura was actually able to force the soul of others to leave their bodies. This was simply terrifying. Her soul cultivation was a level higher compared to him. I can extract your soul memories without harming your soul. You better cooperate with me. Princess Kitamura's soul coldly spoke. The two of them were still communicating through their souls. This was the first time Qin Wentian experienced such a situation. For a time, he didn't know what to do. Abruptly, his gaze turned to the soul wisp of Baiming Yuhuang who was injured by him. Ruthlessness appeared in his heart as he spoke to Baiming Yuhuang, Princess Yuhuang, I will still respectfully refer to you as Princess. However, my memories contain all my secrets, I will never allow you to see them. Don't force me. You have no other path to take. Princess Kitamura coldly spoke. Her soul continued to press towards Qin Wentian as a terrifying soul aura gushed forth, much stronger compared to Qin Wentian's soul energy. Qin Wentian had just started cultivating the undying scripture. How could he resist Princess Kitamura's soul energy? This was absolute suppression. You have no choice. Princess Kitamura's soul continued to press towards Qin Wentian. A towering soul energy enveloped this entire space, causing Qin Wentian to feel fear. He abruptly lifted his palm and blasted out another palm strike towards the wisp of soul that Princess Kitamura sent out earlier, weakening it even further. Princess Kitamura's expression was cold. That wisp of soul coldly spoke, so what if you erase this wisp of soul of mine? Who says I want to erase it? Qin Wentian's soul rushed out, capturing that wisp of soul. After that, both his hands actually hugged it from behind, wrapping around her waist. Although this was a soul form, it was no different from reality. In fact, the soul form was even more sensitive and direct. In an instant, Princess Kitamura's soul trembled with rage. That wisp of soul also radiated an extremely cold aura. Impudent! Impudent! Two completely identical voices rang out at the same time, filled with coldness to the extreme. Princess, please stop. If not, I, Qin, might do something rude. I hope Princess won't blame me. Qin Wentian icily spoke. His hands slid about, almost touching places that shouldn't be touched. The coldness of Princess Kitamura's soul engulfed the entire space, terrifying to the extreme. She was actually profaned by this bastard. How shameless! Princess Kitamura raged. Is princess's actions very glorious? You want to pry into my memories? Is there anything I can't do? Princess, please return and don't disturb my cultivation. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. His eyes were filled with determination and his hands were still moving about, causing Princess Kitamura to tremble in anger. I will really kill you. Princess Kitamura coldly spoke. Princess Yu Huang is the #1 beauty of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, a supreme beauty in the mortal world. Even if I die under a peony, I would still be a romantic even if I become a ghost. Qin Wentian spoke. Since he acted, it meant that he was prepared in his heart. He had no way to accept someone prying into his memories. No one was allowed to do so. There's no one else in this place. Even if I do something, no one would know. Princess can act willfully and no one would know that your reputation has been tarnished. It's just that my death would surely cause the various major powers to vent their anger on the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. At that time, I'm afraid there would be some powers who would want nothing more than to start a war against the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Qin Wentian continued. Princess Kitamura was so angered that her soul trembled. She stared at Qin Wentian. I've never seen such a shameless person before. Many thanks for princess praise. Qin Wentian spoke. Chapter 1360. When Baiming Yuhuang saw the shameless and arrogant expression on Qin Wentian's face, she was so angry that her killing intent towered up into the sky. However, she didn't want to startle the people of the Immortal dynasty. If not, how would she be able to face others in the future? She could only do her best to suppress the coldness radiating from her. There's only a small grudge between me and Princess. Why must Princess be so overbearing? Why don't I leave the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom now? Princess, please don't make things difficult for me. At that time, I will definitely release this soul wisp. Qin Wentian spoke, wanting to use this chance to leave. Release you? Who knows what a shameless person like you would do? Release that soul wisp immediately and I can pretend that nothing has happened. Princess Kitamura coldly spoke. Since Princess doesn't believe me, it's very hard for me to believe Princess Yu Huang as well. In that case, things would be difficult. Qin Wentian spoke, as though the negotiation was about to reach a stalemate. You are Nongyue's friend and was invited to the royal palace as a guest. How are you going to answer to Nongyue for doing such a shameless thing? Princess Kitamura's tone softened. In addition, I heard that Chongqing the Great betrothed his daughter to you. If they knew about this, what would Chongqing the Great and your fiancé do? Princess Yu Huang, you also know that I'm Nongyue's friend. Since you know, you still want to pry into my soul memories. What a great taboo this is. How are you going to answer to Nongyue? As for Chongqing the Great and my fiancé, if they know about my situation, they would naturally understand. If you don't believe me, Princess can just go ahead and expose me. It's best if you announce this to the entire world. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. Being trapped in the princess residence, he had just broken through to the Immortal King realm. Clearly, it was impossible for him to fight against Princess Kitamura who has already broken through to the Immortal Emperor realm. His soul techniques were also inferior to hers, there was no way for him to escape. Could it be that he would allow Princess Kitamura to pry into his soul memories? How could this be possible? Since Princess Kitamura was so ruthless, there was nothing he wouldn't dare to do. Princess Kitamura was so angry that her whole body was trembling. Qin Wentian said, actually, I have another way to make everyone happy. What is it? Princess Kitamura stared at Qin Wentian coldly. Princess Yu Huang wants my inheritance. That's naturally impossible. After all, there's no relationship between us. However, if Princess Yu Huang is willing to marry me as my concubine and serve me in the future, I would naturally be willing to impart all sorts of inheritance techniques to my beloved concubine. There's nothing I'm unwilling to do. In fact, I might even allow you to see my soul memories. Qin Wentian spoke with a straight face. Naturally, I have to do something with Princess Yu Huang first. If not, I'm afraid that Princess might regret her words. Princess. Enough. Princess Kitamura was so angry that her soul was trembling. Her face was livid, and her body was filled with a terrifying coldness. Her beautiful eyes were filled with a terrifying killing intent. She wished she could tear Qin Wentian into pieces. This young man actually dared to be so shameless, using words to profane her. Take Princess Kitamura as his concubine. Serve him. She even wanted to do something with him first. What did this mean? Princess Kitamura was a heaven's chosen, the #1 beauty of the Hokage Sengoku kingdom. Her talent was #1, and she was the youngest immortal emperor in history. Who would dare to be so disrespectful to her? But today, a junior whose cultivation base was inferior to her actually dared to touch her soul and body, using words to profane her. If this was known by the experts of the Hokage Sengoku kingdom, Qin Wentian would most probably be dismembered into 8 pieces. Even the Dark North Immortal Emperor would personally act to kill him. Upon sensing the towering coldness radiating from Princess Kitamura, Qin Wentian's hands continued to move around dishonestly. However, he didn't dare to go too far. At the very least, he didn't dare to touch certain forbidden areas. If not, Princess Kitamura would disregard everything and kill him. Right now, his purpose was to make Princess Kitamura leave. Princess Yu Huang's true self is still not leaving. Could it be that you really want something to happen between us? Qin Wentian's hands moved about wildly. Princess Kitamura's expression was extremely ugly to behold. After that, her soul returned to her body as her true self exuded a terrifying aura. She coldly stared at Qin Wentian. If you dare to touch me again, I will really kill you. Qin Wentian's hands froze. He smiled, as long as Princess leaves, I naturally won't offend you. Bzz. Princess Kitamura was also decisive. Her true self directly left. She couldn't endure the fact that Qin Wentian was constantly touching her soul. She had never suffered such humiliation before. If it wasn't for the fact that she was an immortal emperor and her rationality far surpassed her impulsiveness, she might really have killed Qin Wentian in a fit of anger. Although her true self had left, her soul was still there. It was just that it was no longer a threat to Qin Wentian. However, Qin Wentian didn't dare to relax. He stared at Princess Kitamura's soul and spoke, Princess, why must you do this? As long as you let me leave, I will definitely not dare to touch Princess. You still want to leave the Dark North Royal Palace? Princess Kitamura coldly spoke. Qin Wentian couldn't help but to shiver. Princess, please don't threaten me. My hands would tremble when I'm afraid. It wouldn't be good if I touch places I shouldn't touch. You. Princess Kitamura's soul was about to explode from anger. At this moment, Qin Wentian also felt a headache. Although he had no choice but to use shameless methods to resolve this urgent situation, this unbelievably beautiful female ghost was an immortal emperor after all. Her immortal sense could directly envelop the entire princess residence and she could instantly appear beside him. She could even attack him from afar. The threat was too great. If he was the slightest bit careless, only death would await him. He had no choice but to be extremely cautious. I have to trouble Princess Yu Huang. Qin Wentian blasted out a soul palm strike, heavily injuring the soul of Princess Kitamura. He had no other choice but to do so. Only by doing so would it be easier for him to control Princess Kitamura. Little did he know that Princess Kitamura wanted nothing more than to destroy this soul of hers. If that was the case, he wouldn't be able to threaten Princess Kitamura at all. After that, Qin Wentian used a soul technique he learned from his cultivation to create a soul prison, trapping the soul of Princess Kitamura within. He then spoke to her, "Princess Yu Huang, as long as Princess doesn't act against me, I promise I will abide by the rules. However, if Princess wants to kill me, I, Qin Wentian, am also someone who has cultivated an avatar technique. If my true self dies, my avatar won't die. At that time, I will announce to the world that I was killed because I molested Princess Yu Huang. Who would believe you?" The weak soul of Princess Kitamura coldly spoke. "You don't believe that I have an avatar technique? I, Qin, can swear on my soul that as for molesting Princess Yu Huang, as long as my avatar sends out a few strands of immortal sense, everyone in the world would believe me. If not, why would Princess Yu Huang offend the Evergreen Kingdom and the immortal Qianbian Gate to kill me, Qin Wentian?" Qin Wentian continued, "So, I hope Princess won't force me." The expression of Princess Kitamura's soul changed. She stared at Qin Wentian. "Who did you learn your soul techniques from?" "I learned them myself." Qin Wentian shamelessly spoke. "Was it in the dark north Immortal Mountain?" Princess Kitamura asked. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he glanced at her. Upon seeing Qin Wentian's gaze, Princess Kitamura spoke again, "Dark north Immortal Mountain? An old man with long hair that reaches the ground?" Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with a marvelous light. When he thought of the words the undying old freak told him, he instantly felt enlightened. "You are the lass who obtained the death scripture from the undying old freak?" Qin Wentian speechlessly spoke. This was truly strange. Princess Kitamura was actually the lass the old freak spoke of. Also, the soul techniques they cultivated originated from the same person. "You also cultivate the soul techniques? What did that old freak give you?" Princess Kitamura seriously asked, recalling some matters of the past. She also thought of this because of Qin Wentian's soul techniques. After all, Qin Wentian just exited the Dark North Immortal Mountain and stepped into the Immortal King realm. This was extremely similar to what she experienced back then. "To think that you are really Princess Yu Huang. Seems like this is destined." Qin Wentian spoke. "That undying old freak also bestowed a cultivation art to me before I left. He also told me that he once gave the death scripture to a lass. If I can meet her in the future, I will protect her well. The two of us would be a match made in heaven." Qin Wentian shamelessly boasted with a straight face, as though everything he said was the truth. In order to preserve his life, he wouldn't let go of any chance to get closer to Princess Kitamura. How could he not make good use of such fate? After speaking, Qin Wentian stared at Baiming Yu Huang with deep emotions in his eyes. Right now, Baiming Yu Huang's countenance could no longer be described with just the word unsightly. Her beautiful eyes flickered unceasingly as she stared fixedly at Qin Wentian. "Do you think you can fool me with such nonsense?" Qin Wentian stared at Princess Kitamura's eyes as his heart pounded. He could sense that Princess Kitamura was truly wavering. After cultivating the art of truth, Qin Wentian's senses were extremely sharp. Could it be that Princess Kitamura really believed his nonsense? Is this supreme beauty so easy to fool? Qin Wentian mused silently, but he was still as serious as ever. "Yu Huang, luckily I didn't make a grave mistake. Everything is still not too late. Although my current strength is still a little weak, I will definitely catch up to you in the future. Although I might not be able to accomplish what that undying old freak told me to do and grow old together with you, at the very least, I would be able to fulfill the responsibility of protecting you. After all, although that undying old freak is a pervert, we are still master and disciple. I naturally have to obey his words." If that undying old freak in the forbidden ground of the Dark North Immortal Mountain heard Qin Wentian's sincere words, it was unknown if he would be so moved that he would cry bitterly. Princess Kitamura's beautiful eyes flashed as she stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian braced himself and continued acting, "All right, I have no other choice. Yu Huang, I still have to imprison this wisp of your soul, allowing it to coexist with my true body. However, I won't harm you anymore. I hope you won't do anything that would make things difficult for me." As he spoke, Qin Wentian imprisoned a wisp of Princess Kitamura's soul into his soul prison before returning to his true body. Opening his eyes, a strange light flashed in Qin Wentian's eyes. And in the princess palace, Princess Kitamura's true body had her beautiful eyes open, staring in the direction of Qin Wentian. Her gaze seemed to be able to penetrate through the void, and she naturally knew everything that happened earlier. After all, the wisp of her soul shared everything with her true body. That fellow was actually the successor of that old man. The words he said. A myriad of thoughts flashed through Princess Kitamura's mind. She had never encountered such a difficult matter before, her heart was filled with countless thoughts. Chapter 1361. Under the night sky, Princess Kitamura finally calmed down and didn't come looking for trouble with Qin Wentian again. This caused Qin Wentian to heave a sigh of relief. Today was truly dangerous. This female ghost was powerful, she wanted his memories. Qin Wentian had no choice but to use all the methods he had, hoping that Princess Kitamura would understand and release him as soon as possible. After calming down, Qin Wentian immersed himself in his cultivation. A wisp of Princess Kitamura's soul was still trapped by him, he couldn't release it. Qin Wentian had no idea what Princess Kitamura was thinking in her heart. If he released her, she would act against him in a fit of anger. In the royal palace of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, there would be no path for him to escape even to the heavens. For several days, there was no movement from Princess Kitamura. Qin Wentian could relax and stay in the princess residence. He had no solution, he couldn't leave this place. In the princess residence of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, he didn't dare to open the spatial tunnel to the heavenly talisman realm. If he did so, he would be instantly discovered and the secret of the heavenly talisman realm would be exposed. Today, Baiming no Nue came to the princess residence of Princess Kitamura. She found Qin Wentian, and upon seeing that Qin Wentian was safe, she heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. "My elder sis didn't do anything to you, right?" Only to see that at this moment, Princess Kitamura's silhouette flashed and appeared here as well. Her countenance was as breathtaking as ever, but there was a hint of coldness to it. Qin Wentian exchanged a glance with her before he replied, "No, I'm living very well here. Princess Yu Huang treats me very well and our relationship is getting closer by the day." Baiming no Nue's eyes flashed as she stared at Qin Wentian in bewilderment. How could this be? Could this fellow have been threatened by her elder sister? Princess Yu Huang, am I right? Qin Wentian stared at Princess Kitamura as he spoke. You are right. Princess Kitamura spoke coldly. Baiming no Nue stared at the two of them, feeling a little strange. Qin Wentian, Jin's talent is good, and she has already become a disciple of an expert. Her father is also temporarily staying in the imperial city, and they told me to thank you. Baiming no Nue spoke. Qin Wentian had a smile on his face. Since Jin was able to break through to the Immortal King realm in the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, her talent was naturally outstanding. It was only normal for her to be able to take on an expert as her master. Qin Wentian was happy for her. I should be the one thanking you. Qin Wentian smiled at Baiming no Nue. There's no need to thank me. Miss Jin is able to have such a good encounter because her talent is outstanding. If not, immortal emperors wouldn't accept disciples so easily and wouldn't give me, the princess, face. Elder sister is more suitable. Baiming no Nue glanced at Princess Kitamura and smiled, Elder sis, since you have such a good relationship with Qin Wentian, why don't you be friends? Why must you make things difficult for him? Both of you are geniuses at the peak of the immortal realms. In the future, Qin Wentian's achievements would also be on par with Elder Sis. If we can become good friends, wouldn't it be interesting? Nongyue, you are right. I am already good friends with your elder sister, and we have a mutual affinity. Qin Wentian smiled. Mutual affinity? Baiming Nongyue started, staring at Qin Wentian. No, it's mutual affinity. We have a common interest in cultivation and are both proficient in a certain type of energy. In fact, we even have a deep connection with each other. Qin Wentian spoke. Princess Kitamura had a cold expression on her face. She didn't say anything. Only her gaze that occasionally glanced at Qin Wentian was filled with coldness. Your subordinate has something to report to Princess. At this moment, a voice rang out from outside the Princess Kitamura's residence. There were no guards here, and without her permission, no one would be able to enter easily. If there was something, they would have to report it to Princess Kitamura first and wait for Princess Kitamura's reply. Speak. Princess Kitamura turned her gaze over as she calmly spoke. Pei Qin came to the royal palace and wishes to meet with Princess. Right now, he is heading here together with the princes. That person reported. Princess Kitamura's eyes flashed. Pei Qin, that arrogant fellow. Back then, this Pei Qin has always been arrogant. Now that elder sister has broken through to the Immortal Emperor realm and broke his record, he still dares to come. Baiming Nongyue didn't seem to like Pei Qin. Qin Wentian thought of a young man as coldness flashed in his eyes. Back then in the Forbidden Ground, only 3 of them survived. One of them was killed by Pei Qin because of a disagreement. This Pei Qin was the youngest immortal emperor in the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom before Princess Kitamura. He was the number 1 in the history of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Right now, his record was broken by Princess Kitamura. What is he doing here? Princess Kitamura's expression was still as cold as before. Elder sister, do you still not know what Pei Qin wants to do? He simply thinks too highly of himself, believing that he, as the youngest immortal emperor, would be able to marry the number 1 beauty of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. But now, his title as the youngest immortal emperor has already been seized by elder sister. How would he still have the face to enter the royal palace? Baiming Nongyue continued. Qin Wentian saw Baiming Nongyue's attitude towards Pei Qin. He couldn't help but to ask, I've heard of this Pei Qin before. He is the youngest immortal emperor before Princess Yu Huang. But why is he able to enter the royal palace? The power of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom was extremely terrifying, even stronger compared to the Evergreen Kingdom. Even if Pei Qin was an immortal emperor, he shouldn't be able to enter the royal palace without any obstructions. With the title of the youngest immortal emperor in the history of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, he would naturally be treated with respect no matter where he goes, even in our royal palace. After all, his accomplishments in the future would be extremely terrifying. Let alone the fact that he is the disciple of an extremely powerful character and has an extraordinary status. Baiming Nongyue spoke. Qin Wentian instantly understood. Seems like there were some things in the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom that he wasn't clear about. That old man who came with him in the Forbidden Grounds clearly had no idea as well. Maybe, he wouldn't be able to come into contact with people of this level. Not long after, a voice drifted over from outside, Princess Yu Huang, Pei Qin is here to pay a visit. Princess Kitamura frowned. However, the other party was already outside the residence. She then spoke, come in. As the sound of her voice faded, the sound of wind whistling could be heard from outside. After that, a group of figures walked over. Other than Pei Qin, there were also a few of his followers. All of them were immortal kings. In addition, the prince who was at loggerheads with Baiming Nongyue earlier was also among them. It seemed like he was the one who received Pei Qin. Yu Huang, it has been many years since we last met. You are even more radiant than before, exuding magnificence through the generations. As expected of the number 1 beauty of our dynasty. Pei Qin walked over in a carefree manner. A warm smile could be seen on his handsome face as he stared at Princess Kitamura. As for Bai Ming Nongyue, who was beside Princess Kitamura, she was completely ignored by him. Even though she was a princess of the dynasty, Bai Ming Nongyue was nothing in his eyes. This point was clear from the words he spoke to Qin Wentian back then in the Forbidden Grounds. What are you here for? Princess Kitamura was much colder, ignoring the other party's praise. Can't I come to visit you if there's nothing? I heard that you broke through to the Immortal Emperor realm and broke my record. I'm naturally happy for you. Pei Qing smiled. Is that true? Bai Ming Nongyue smiled, her eyes were filled with disbelief. She was very clear how arrogant this Pei Qing was. He had the title of being the top ranker in history, but now, his title was snatched away by Princess Kitamura. Would he be happy? Pei Qing glanced at Bai Ming Nongyue as a proud smile appeared on his face. Naturally, only then would I not be lonely on my path of cultivation. I would be able to frequently exchange pointers with Yu Huang and discuss the martial Tao. My elder sis doesn't have the time for that. Bai Ming Nongyue mocked. Since when is it your turn to interfere in the matters of your elder sis? You should focus on your own cultivation first. Pei Qing laughed. After that, his gaze landed on Qin Wentian as he frowned. It was extremely rare for a man to enter Princess Kitamura's residence. But this man, he had seen him before. What qualifications did he have to appear here? Nongyue brought you here. Pei Qing stared at Qin Wentian. My elder sis invited him here. Bai Ming Nongyue wanted to anger Pei Qing. Pei Qing glanced at the prince beside him and that prince replied, Nongyue was the one who brought him here. He has already stayed in the princess residence for several days. Pei Qing's expression turned unsightly. Qin Wentian had already stayed in Princess Kitamura's residence for several days. Back then in the dark north Immortal Mountain, I wasn't willing to bicker with an ant like you. But now, you actually dare to step into this place. You don't know the immensity of death. Disappear from my sight immediately. Pei Qing didn't even glance at Qin Wentian. He coldly spoke, his tone containing no room for doubt, wanting Qin Wentian to disappear. Princess Kitamura frowned. Although she hated Qin Wentian, this was her residence. When did Pei Qing have the right to order her around? It was as though he was half the owner of this residence. Qin Wentian's expression turned cold. Although Pei Qing was an Immortal Emperor character, such an arrogant attitude was simply brazen to the extreme. What does this have to do with you? Princess Kitamura coldly spoke. Princess Yu Huang, what qualifications does such a character have to appear in your residence? Pei Qing was polite to Princess Kitamura, but he was filled with disdain for Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with coldness. After that, he coldly laughed and stood beside Princess Kitamura. Yu Huang, who is this fellow? He actually dares to interfere in our matters in your residence. He stared at Princess Kitamura with a gentle gaze. Princess Kitamura silently cursed at this fellow for being shameless to the extreme. However, Pei Qing's expression instantly turned incomparably sharp as he stared at Qin Wentian. Princess Yu Huang, what does he mean by this? Pei Qing stared at Princess Kitamura as he spoke. Bai Ming Yu Huang's expression turned even colder, her mood was extremely unsightly. She was originally already unhappy with Qin Wentian and now, there was another Pei Qing. Now, Pei Qing's tone was filled with interrogative intent, as though she didn't need his permission to do anything in her residence. This has nothing to do with you. If there's nothing else, I'm going to rest. Princess Kitamura coldly spoke, ordering him to leave. These words caused Pei Qing's heart to burn with rage. A mere ant actually dared to vie with him for a woman. He swept his gaze over to Qin Wentian as a powerful pressure gushed forth. He icily spoke, lowly human, wanting to taint the phoenix. You simply don't know what's good for you. Scram from my residence immediately or I will make sure that you won't be able to see the stars tonight. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with coldness. Threatening him? Yu Huang told you to scram. Don't you understand? Qin Wentian stared at Pei Qing as he spoke. The youngest immortal emperor in history before Yu Huang. He should be the most shameless immortal emperor in history. Not only did he refuse to leave, he even dares to interfere in the matters between me and Yu Huang.